Courtney Bird. I'm the Vice Chair of the Conservation Commission, and I'm temporarily hosting the meeting today, Wednesday, the 17th or 16th?
17th.
17th
Correct.
of December 2025. And before we start the meeting, I would like to personally thank Russ Robbins for his work as chair. And I'm quite honestly very disappointed that he stepped down. I think that the town and the Conservation Commission loses a lot by his being here. And I have large temporary shoes to fill. So anyway, I am the vice chair and I'm calling this meeting to order. Before I start, I want it noted for the record that all of our members are present. That includes Steve Patton, Jim McGrath, Ron Bowman, Ron Driscoll, Bill Duffy, David Kent. And we also have our staff, Alyssa Bergeron, and I guess she's the only one. Other than I'm missing Kristen.
You're missing Jen Lincoln, but thank you, Court.
Yeah, and
Other than that, no problem.
Kristen,
Yeah, other than that, we can go on.
who's recording all of this stuff. So anyway, now this is an open meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission, and it's being conducted via Zoom and also being broadcast on cable channel 15 and streamed online at fctv.org. For those who want to view the meeting but do not want to participate, we suggest viewing on FCTV. Members of the public who want to make comments or ask questions during the meeting may join the meeting as Zoom attendees, which allows you to submit written comments and questions via the chat function, and also to see and hear the meeting in real time. The link and the instructions for joining the meeting are listed in the agenda posting and can be found at www.falmouthmass.gov conservation. FCTV will also be posting information on how to access Zoom meetings during the broadcast of this meeting. This meeting is being recorded, so be aware that you as a panelist and you as a participant can be seen and heard. And therefore, if you don't want to be heard, mute your microphone. And if you're on camera, make sure you're properly dressed. Okay? So on that score, let's get to the basic ground rules. Before turning to the first item on the agenda, I want to review some basic ground rules of orderly conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please remember to unmute your microphone and to speak clearly. When done, please remute yourself. Please do not speak unless you are recognized by the chair. If you, as a meeting attendee, want to ask a question or make a comment, please use the chat function. After each presentation, the chair will ask staff members for questions or comments, and the chair will then ask the commission to make their comments. After the presentation and staff and commissioner discussions, the chair will ask a staff member to read any questions or comments typed into the Zoom chat function by members of the public. If someone wants to speak in the meeting, please notify us via the chat function, and you will be made a participant. Have your sound enabled and your video enabled. We want to be able to see you. All votes for this remote meeting will be taken by roll call. I will call out the name of each member and ask you to repeat your last name before starting your vote. So on that score, the next step is that on the agenda, let me get the agenda out. Hold on. Having to shift gears from one meeting to the next is a major operation. And let me find the agenda. Do we have minutes on the agenda, Jen? I'm just
No, we do not, Courtney.
Okay, I'm just trying to get, yeah, I have the agenda. Okay. Sorry, this for the fumbling around, but I'm shifting gear very quick. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda is request for continuances. We have a request for, oh, I know one thing I have to do before we start. We have because of Russ stepping down, I need to elevate Rob Bowman to be a full-time member of the chair. So you've gone from an alternate to a full-time member. What a privilege it is to have you with us, Rob. Okay,
Welcome, Ron.
Thank
so, and no call for Rob. Okay.
This meeting's worth it already.
All right, so here we go. So the first thing is we have a request for continuance under a notice of intent. Brian McLaughlin, 70, Falmouth Pier 37, Inc., 110 Scranton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to replace and relocate at the bulkhead, remove a portion of filled wetlands or tidelands, and expand the existing dock system. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 21st.
Okay, do we have any comments on that and the reason for that request?
We're still waiting for revised plans.
Okay. Any questions or comments? I need a motion to,
Fiscal so moved. Continue to the 21st.
we have a motion and a second to continue this to the 21st of
Seconded.
January, 2026. Okay, I'm gonna call.
Duffy, second.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, I'm gonna call a roll. Steve? You've got to unmute yourself, Steve. You know, you're muted. Wave your hand and up and down.
Okay, I got it.
Okay,
Aye, Pat and I.
Thank you,
okay.
Steve.
Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent
Can't I?
and Bird, aye. All right. Next, Falmouth condominium, Falmouth Port condominium owners, care of Rudy Hunter, Falmouth Port Drive, across from units 278 and 292, or through 292, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to raise and regrade the roadway and install drainage improvements. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 14th. They're still doing plan revisions.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Driscoll so moved.
Okay.
Bowman, second.
To the 20 to the 14th.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until the 14th of January. And I'll start with Steve.
Abstain, Pat and abstain.
Okay, Jim McGrath,
McGrath, aye.
Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent,
Can't I?
and Bird Eye. Okay, next we have request for a continuation for a certificate of compliance. Timothy Leadham, trustee, R&G Realty Trust, 1209 East Falmouth Highway, East Falmouth, Mass. Request for partial certificate of compliance for Mass DEP 25-4524. Yeah, so Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance until January 14th.
Okay, do we have a motion?
McGrath, so moved.
And a
Driscoll
second.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this request for a certificate until the 14th of January 2026. Steve Patton
Pat and I.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent
Can't I?
and Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, moving along. Next is request for a continuance under an enforcement order. David and Marcy Barnes, 38 Squibnocket Drive, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted construction of retaining walls, steps, and a patio, replacement of decking, and alteration of a coastal bank. Ken?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the property owner is requesting a continuance until January 21st. They are in the process of getting a site plan done.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Duffy, so moved.
Driscoll
right.
second.
And we had a second. Who was the second?
Driscoll.
Driscoll.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this enforcement order hearing until the 21st of January 2026. All right, Steve Pattern
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent
Kent, aye.
and Bird, aye. Very good, we're excellent. Okay, next, a request for determination of applicability. Under request for, let me see. Under request for determination of applicability, an RDA, the applicant is asking the Conservation Commission to decide if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to the proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the act or bylaw do not apply, and therefore it can proceed. A positive determination is that the provisions of the act or bylaw do apply. Therefore, the applicant will have to submit a notice of intent for the project if he or she wants to go forward. In simplest terms, a no means yes. Okay, so first request for a determination of applicability is the Town of Falmouth Highway Department, care of Jim Grady, the Shining Sea Bikeway, Falmouth, Mass., for permission to repave the bike path within the existing footprint. And Alyssa, I think you're in charge of these.
I am. Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Driscoll, so moved.
Patton, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this request for applicability. And I'll start with Steve Patton
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent
Kent, aye.
and Courtney Bird. Yeah, it says aye too. Okay, next. We have David K. and Mary Ann Medeiros, 50 Pondlet Place, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to install restoration plantings and conduct invasive species management. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
okay, we
Driscoll's-
have a motion?
So moved.
Patton, second.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make one correction. There has been a revised plan. That plan does not include invasive species management. So the -2 and -3 are just for restoration plantings.
all right. Do we need to amend that?
No, I'm just clarifying it for you.
Okay, all right. So with that clarification, I'll ask for the vote. Steve
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
David Kent,
Kent, aye.
and Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, next. Let's see, where are we? Oh, Sari and Jonathan Tower, 66 Crowell Road, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to remove 10 trees and conduct minor invasive species management. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
okay.
Driscoll, so moved.
Patton, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this or issue a positive. So Steve
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent,
Kent, aye.
and Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, motion carried, moving on. Next, continued requests for a determination of applicability. Andrea Montoni, 103 Racing Beach Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to install mitigation and restoration plantings in accordance with Mass DEP 25-3247. Alyssa,
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
we have a motion.
Driscoll, so moved.
Patton second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve this RDA. Steve Patton
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent.
Kent, aye.
And finally, Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, moving on. Next, continued request. Oh, I'm sorry, we've done that. Now we're into requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authority of the Massachusetts Wetland Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. Okay, so this is a new hearing, and so everybody's on the quorum. And this is C.H. Newton Builders, 52 Oyster Shell Lane, East Falmouth, Mass. Permission to enlarge the existing deck and install associated mitigation. It says here, however, they have requested to continue this. So, Jen, would you please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant's requesting a continuance until January 14th. There might need to be some plan changes. We'll be
Okay,
meeting with the applicant's representative shortly.
and so can we have a motion to continue this?
A motion to continue the hearing at the applicant's request to the 14th of this, January 26th. Driscoll.
Okay,
Bowman, second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to continue this meeting, this hearing until the 14th of January 2026. Patton
Patton, aye.
and Jim McGrath. You gotta
McGrath.
unmute yourself.
McGrath, aye.
I did read your lips but I just needed to confirm because somehow
Thank you.
that doesn't come through on the video. All right, Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent.
Kent, aye.
And finally, Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, next, we have continued requests for a hearing under a notice of intent. And this one is supposed to be continued as well. Brian McGoughlin, Pier 37, Inc., 110 Scranton Avenue, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to replace and relocate the bulkhead and remove a portion of filled tidelands and expand an existing dock system.
Courtney, we continued this to January 21st.
Okay, it's a continuation of January 21st.
Correct.
Yeah, I think we already voted this. I'm sorry.
Yes, we did.
All right, my apologies. I'm getting old. Moving on. Next is Falmouth Port condominiums, and that as well has been continued. So
Correct, to January 14th.
January 14th. And by the way, we are now into continued hearings under a notice of intent. So the next one after McLaughlin is Falmouth Port condominiums, and they owners and so forth, they have that as the hearing has been continued as well. So moving on, next is Peter and Jennifer Heron, 436 Acapesket Road, Falmouth, Mass. To permission to install a vinyl sheet pile. So the quorum is, please. I need the quorum.
So the quorum is everyone except you, Courtney.
All right, so other than being the chair, I have no voting function and I can't bother to bug the applicant, so you're in luck, Jake.
Good.
All right, Jake, do you have a question, Jen?
Nope, I just wanted to introduce
Oh.
Jake Fricky from Cape and Islands Engineering to present his continued project. Good evening, Jake.
Good evening, everyone. For the record, my name is Jake Fricky. I'm a professional land surveyor with Cape and Islands Engineering, and I'm representing Peter Heron for this project on Acapesket Road. This is, as Courtney indicated, a continued hearing for notice of intent application to repair an existing bulkhead. And with your permission, Courtney, I would like to share my screen.
You have my permission.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so you should now all be able to see this, and I will do my best to keep this brief as we have already reviewed this, but for everyone's benefit, I will quickly go through it again. This project is to repair a small portion of bulkhead in this vicinity. It is a timber bulkhead which is dilapidated, and we're proposing to replace it with vinyl in front of it. There is a salt marsh which is behind the bulkhead, and the bulkhead is actually protecting and promoting the salt marsh in this area, and so we're proposing to do this work both to replace the bulkhead to protect the client's interests, but also in order to protect that salt marsh from further erosion. As the bulkhead has started to fail, the salt marsh is starting to erode on this side over by the pier. Let's see. The reasons this was continued is that it didn't have a DEP file number, which it now has, and we were waiting for DMF comments. We have received the DEP file number, and we have received DMF comments, and the staff questions were sort of related to as follows. What were the alternatives for this? So the alternatives that we considered were to A, do nothing, which would not protect the wetlands, and as the structure continues to deteriorate, it would expose the salt marsh and expose this area here to further erosion. Option B would be a full removal and replacement of the bulkhead, and we did not choose that as we felt it would do more harm than good to the existing salt marsh there to actually remove all of that existing bulkhead and then replace it with vinyl, rather than what we're proposing to do, which is to drive the new vinyl directly in front of the bulkhead. And option 3 was the project as proposed, which protects the salt marsh as best as we can, while also achieving the property owner's goals of protecting their land and cleaning up a dilapidated situation. DMF comments were received today, which indicate that there's to be no storage of materials or construction allowed on the salt marsh itself, which is expected, and we agree with that. Staff had previously indicated that no CCA treated materials were to be used, and we've noted on our plan that no leaching wood preservative would be used, and then the final former comment was, what is the benefit of this, and what would happen to the salt marsh if the bulkhead was removed? And we believe the salt marsh would erode away, as there's no salt marsh to the north of the dock here, and this bulkhead is promoting a nice piece of salt marsh here. So with now all of our ducks in a row with DEP file number and DMF comments, we believe we demonstrated the project complies with Falmouth wetland regulations. And at this point, I'll stop sharing my screen so we can have any questions.
Okay, we'll start with, thank you.
One thing, Court, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Jake, can you again go, DMF had a comment about taking it out and replacing it in kind instead of putting the sheet pile in front. Is that possible? And if you already addressed it, I was jotting something down, so I apologize.
Sorry. Yeah. So the That was one of our options in our alternative analysis, which I touched upon. Our concern with the removable and replacement is that it will substantially damage the salt marsh to remove that existing bulkhead, because the salt marsh is growing right up to it. And so by driving right in front of it, we're leaving the whole salt marsh intact, versus if we pulled it away, there would be substantial degradation to the salt marsh.
So you're leaving the wooden structure in place. You're just putting the sheet pile in front of it.
That's right. We're going to leave
Okay.
the wood and then drive the sheet pile in front of it, and then the wood will be trimmed off flush with grade, and then the voids in the new vinyl will be filled with compatible sand, and it'll probably just grow all in there.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. And did you touch upon, we're going to put a time of year restriction on to comply with the recommendations from DMF?
Yes, we expected a time of year restriction. There is not a specific time of year noted in the DMF comments, but we did expect that there would be some expectation of a time of year restriction, and we would like to work with staff to get that limit of work in as quickly as possible before the time of year restriction comes into place, so that the work could be done sometime later in the winter as the contractor has time allowed.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be January through like mid-May, but we can work with you to get that boom in first.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, are you all set, Jen?
Yes?
Okay, Alyssa, do you have any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, and I will move to start with David Kent. Do you have anything that you'd like to ask?
I'm all set. Thanks.
And Bill Duffy?
No, I'm good with this as it is, as long as the staff is agreeable and they're going to work with Jake and those people. I'm fine with it. Thanks.
Okay, and Ron Driscoll?
Yeah, just one question. Jake, you think the salt marsh is going to grow towards the deck, well, towards the pier, when all this is fixed and there's no holes? The water will stop going in through the wall, the timber wall. You think the salt marsh might expand a little?
I wouldn't be surprised if it did. That timber wall closest to the dock is definitely some of the worst section, and it seems like it's eroding on that end where water is sort of squirting between the planks.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thanks. That's all, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Okay, Ron Bowman, do you have
No
any?
comment. No comment, sir.
And Jim McGrath?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Steve?
And no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so normally I try to award coal to go into somebody's stocking at Christmas time. You don't get the coal. It's a good presentation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Courtney. You have 2 more chances to give me the coal. So,
Don't encourage him, Jake.
Good. All right, we get more wax at you.
All right, make a
so-
motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement. Driscoll.
Do we have a second?
Bowman, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. So I'll start with Steve Patton,
Patton, aye.
Jim McGrath,
McGrath, aye.
and Ron Bowman.
Bowman, aye.
Ron
Driscoll, aye.
Driscoll, aye. You voted? Okay. Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
David Kent,
Kent, aye.
and Bird, aye. The meeting is closed. The hearing is closed. Thank you very much. All right, moving along. Next one is Marissa Weiss and David Friedman, 26 Buzzards Bay Avenue, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct an addition and install mitigation plantings. Again, as a continued hearing, I will ask for the quorum.
Everyone but you.
What's that?
It's everyone but you, Court.
Everybody but me. I don't know. I'm beginning to get a complex. All right. So, are you on, Jake? Do I have another whack at you?
That's it. Yeah, you get another chance right now.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, Jake Fricke, Cape and Islands Engineering, to present his continued project.
All right. Go ahead. You're on, Jake.
All right, excellent. So good evening. For the record, my name is Jake Fricky. I'm a professional land surveyor with Cape and Islands Engineering, representing Marissa Weiss and David Friedman for a project on Buzzards Bay Avenue. This is a continuation of the hearing from December 3rd to review a notice of intent application to construct a small addition and the associated mitigation plantings. And with your permission, Courtney, I would like to share my screen.
You have my permission.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so you should all now be able to see my plan here. Similar to the last program, I will do my best to move through this quickly. I think I've touched on most of this before. What has come since the last plan, I will focus on. So this is an addition on the northerly side of the house here, and the associated mitigation planting. The staff comments in our last round indicated that there was an AC pad here and a HVAC platform here, which had been installed without conservation permitting, and they were done while some interior work was being done to the house, and also there was a question about the location of this hedge, and so those items are shown, and we are now also showing sufficient mitigation planting to account for the increases in impervious in the A and B related to these HVAC units. That mitigation planting is a combination of an expansion of the former area here, as well as a small piece here. After visiting the site with staff, we determined that there's a stand of very mature privet in this pink area here, which would likely provide far too much shade on this northerly piece of mitigation for appropriate growth. And so it was decided that that mature privet would be removed and replaced with native shrubs as part of this planting. This is just a remove and replace. We're not counting this area for mitigation. It's just to allow the new plants to have more sunlight. These privets are at least 10 feet tall and are really crowding the area substantially. By taking them out and having this all be one nice contiguous planting, I think that the whole area will be much happier and healthier. The staff comments that we received on the 16th are really in relation to the clearing outside of the limit of work, the 1995 limit of work, which runs along our current limit of work and then extends a little bit to the south here. And as discussed before, the client does indeed have some raspberries that are outside of this limit of work. And beyond that, the bank is overgrown with a mixture of what I perceive to be extremely well-established invasives. And this bank is quite steep, as you can see by the contours. And our concerns with this is any kind of replanting effort would result in significant erosion, and it would be rather difficult to remain it free of invasives moving forward. We believe that this project complies with Falmouth bylaw and with previously approved projects, and at this point I will stop sharing my screen so that we can have some questions.
Thank you, Jake. So I will turn to Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we did go out. We kind of collaborated in the field, figured out an area where Jake could put the new mitigation. We were concerned about the shading and therefore talked about removing the privet. So thank you for doing that, Jake. The board is going to have to make a determination on that previously cleared area. It is surrounded by a sea of invasives. Any natural plantings, any replanting in that area probably wouldn't last more than a year or so before being taken over by invasives. So the board's going to have to decide what you want to do with that area. There's no way to put like a mow strip where we usually do. It is a fairly steep slope, so we'll just have to discuss that in deliberation and see what the board wants to do. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alyssa, do you
You're
have
welcome.
anything to add?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, well then I will turn to comments or questions from the commission, and I'll start with David Kent.
Seems to me that we have a pretty much agreement from everyone who's spoken that we should not do anything on that steep bank down behind the house. So that makes sense to me. And then Jake, I have just one question about the plan. It's a small thing. Right about the new addition, it's kind of in the darker brown area there. Is there a stairway there? It seems to be a stairway to nothing. You may want to show the plan again.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen again.
May not be a very important question, but I've always wondered about this on this project.
Okay, so you're talking about
there,
these
yes.
here.
Yes.
So up here, we're at elevation 42, and by the time you get down here around the side of the house, this is the 32 contour right here. So there's a 10-foot drop in grade along the side of the house.
Jake, I got it. I thought it was up. It's down.
Yeah, so it's dropping down, and then of course the slope continues to dump down toward the bottom of the hill.
Say no more. Sorry about that. Thank you very much.
That's okay.
I'm all set.
So you're all set, David?
I'm all set.
Jim?
I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, Bill Duffy
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
and Steve Patton,
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Ron Driscoll?
No questions. I'm all set. Thank you.
All right, and Ron Bowman?
I'm good as well. Thank you.
And I'm good, so your mother must be excited to be able to put toys in your stocking, because there's no coal on this one either. All right,
Okay, motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
we
Driscoll.
have a second.
Duffy, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. I'll start with Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Oh, Driscoll, aye.
and Steve Patton
Pat and I.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and David Kent
Can't I?
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Bird, aye. We have closed this hearing. Thank you very much. Next up on the docket is Shelley Hupp, 2 Avenue A, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to conduct invasive species removal and restoration, install a new core fiber roll array, and conduct beach nourishment. And who do we have, Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm promoting Angela Tanner from Crawford Land Management to present the continued project. Oops, sorry, Angela, I'm coming. I thought I grabbed you. Oh, I did.
Before Angela jumps on us, quorum, what's the quorum on this one? Shelley Hupp,
The quorum is everybody.
everybody. All right. On that note, Angela, you're on deck.
Hi, I'm Angela Tanner from Crawford Land Management, representing the homeowner, and I'm covering for Andy tonight, who couldn't be here. There were some minor revisions on the plan that I know she worked with Alyssa to figure out, and those include adding a vista corridor to the plan. We took the sweet fern off of the plant list as requested and increased the rest of the native shrub species in order to cover that. The existing split rail fence is only going to be repaired. It's not going to be extended any further from where it is now. And there are 4 of the trees that were shown along the property line, which have been relocated to within the buffer restoration area.
Angela, do you want me to share my plan for you, or
I
do you have it? Okay,
I
thank
do
you.
have it.
Okay. I had it pulled up. I didn't know someone from Crawford
Yeah,
would
I
be here.
was having a hard time with Adobe, so hopefully this will work.
If you can't, I have it pulled up if it doesn't work for you, Angela.
Can you see it?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, so the Vista corridor you can see is right in this corner over here. And then the trees that were along this property line, most of them have been moved over to be within the restoration area. And then this sweet fern has been replaced with various native shrub species all within the same area. And I think
Thank you.
that covers it.
Okay.
Thank you, Angela. You can stop sharing.
Okay, I will, Jen, do you have any questions, comments?
Crawford Land Management has addressed all the staff's concerns and comments, so I have nothing additional.
Alyssa, do you have anything?
No comments, thank you.
Okay, I'll turn to conservation. David Kent
I'm all set.
and Jim McGrath,
All set as well.
Bill Duffy,
I'm all good, thank you.
and Steve Patton.
Thanks. I think it's good to get these vision views settled at the same time. It works out pretty good. Thanks a lot, Angel.
And Ron Driscoll.
Yeah, it's almost like we'll see in 5 to 10 years when the fiber array roll fails. So
Okay, and Ron Bowman.
I'm good, thank you.
And I don't have any questions. And Angela, Santa can bring you a full stocking of toys this year. There's no cost.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
Okay, do I have a motion to close?
make a motion to close the hearing, take under advisement, Driscoll.
And we have a
Duffy
second.
second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Are there any comments in the public chat room? I'm sorry, I forgot to ask that before.
No, not a problem. Nothing in the public chat.
Okay, hearing that, we'll call for the roll. David Kent
Can't I?
and Jim McGrath
McGrath, aye.
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and Steve Patton
Pat and I.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Ron Bowman
Bowman, aye.
and Courtney Bird, aye. Okay, we've closed that hearing. Thank you very much, Angela. You have a great
Good night,
day.
Angela.
Okay, moving along. The next one is Fahad Nanji, KFN Hillside Nominee Trust, 24 Willis Lane, Falmouth, Mass. Permission to conduct dune and beach nourishment. Do we have a quorum? What is the quorum for this one? What is the quorum for this hearing? It's a continued one.
Yep, it's everybody.
It's everybody. Okay, even me?
Even you, Courtney.
All right. So, we have, it looks like Jack Vaccaro hiding.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Jack Vaccaro from Epsilon Associates up to present his continued hearing. Good evening, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Good evening, Jen. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and commissioners.
You're on deck, Mr. Vaccaro.
Wonderful. I here this evening, Jack Vaccaro from Epsilon Associates, where I'm a lead scientist in the Coastal and Offshore Group. I'm here to continue our hearing that was begun last week, where I presented the project, which is the nourishment of a dune and beach area at the east end of this property. At that time, most of our discussion centered on the 2 drift fences that are proposed for the project. There was some discussion as to whether or not the fence should be proposed as a permanent fixture or temporary. Your conservation administrator expressed some discomfort at having the fence installed on a permanent basis. So we agreed to go back and discuss it with the project team and see what we could do. And it was determined that the fence could be installed in a way that allows the fence panels to be removed during the winter months. The plan would be to remove all of those panels no later than November 1st and reinstalling them no sooner than March 1st and no later than April 1st, just to avoid any conflict with the conditions that Natural Heritage has put forward on the project. So we did resubmit the spec sheet for the drift fence and also the plan set with the notation to that effect that the fence would be a temporary structure with removals over the winter months. So that's really the only plan revision. I think we've provided you now with all that was required. So I would ask that the commission could close the hearing and issue an order. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Jen, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, even though the panels are being removed in the winter months, staff still has to go on record, say we do have concerns with the sturdiness, robustness of the fencing. We received a fact sheet late today. It came from Natural Heritage, but it's not their fact sheet. It's CZM's fact sheet, Coastal Zone Management. And if on page 5, it talks about sturdy drift fencing. I sent it all too late. I apologize. Sturdy drift fencing is not recommended because of erosion concerns. So the board did ask Jack to make some of the panels removable. He has done that, but staff still has to go on record saying we just have concerns with the solidness, I guess, of the fence. And again, apologize for sending the fact sheet late. We got it around 4 o'clock. But that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Jen, is it possible to put that map or picture of the fence up on the screen? Because
Jack, do you have it available real quick or no?
Yeah, I could bring it up.
Thank you.
Here.
I'd have to go into, but I am connected, but it'd take me a minute to find it.
Yeah.
We just need the fence. Okay.
Yeah.
If you can expand that a little bit so we can see the whole fence, and if you can make that zoom in on that. Okay. So in looking at this, it appears if I were looking at this picture, I would assume that where the posts stop is grade, but that's not the real case. Where is grade actually? In other words, your diagram essentially shows the length of the post. It doesn't show anything in relationship to where the grade is.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, there is some variability to this. I mean, the fence could be installed to whatever height we need it to, but typically when I've seen these types of fence installed, I would say the bottom of those call them slats or pickets would be within 6 inches of the grade of the beach.
Yeah, and for clarity's sake, because when I looked at this last week when you showed this, I looked at it, and maybe it's just because I'm old. I thought, well, what is the use of this thing? It looks like a clothesline, not a retaining fence. Well, you know what I'm saying. In other words, if you can put the grade lines in there, that'll make it a lot clearer what this is. That's my only comment.
Okay.
So you can unshare.
There you go.
Okay. So I'm sorry, Alyssa, do you have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, so I will solicit comments from the commission. I'll start with Ron Bowman.
Jack, thank you for making that alteration. I think I'm good, and I think we should move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ron Driscoll.
Yeah, just essentially we're putting a temporary structure in a velocity zone for 6 months and then taking it down for 6 months. This is sort of like a play structure at Falmouth Yacht Club or some other things that we mandate. If there's a storm coming, it has to be stored inside or removed from the resource. So I'm okay with this.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bill? I'm sorry, Alyssa, do you have a comment?
Just to note, there is a time of year restriction on the beach, so these structures are not allowed to be maintained while the birds are on the beach. So if there was a storm, they really can't be touched. I don't recall if it said, with
Oh boy.
the presence of a monitor. So it's tricky. I mean, we typically see the opposite. These fences installed in the winter when it accrues sand after, it gets hit by these winter storms and storms. So the presence of the birds make this.
Okay. Is that, I think it's good. Your sound kind of cut out a little bit. We need better internet. Next, are you satisfied, Bill? Ron, I'm sorry. You're all set?
I mean, there's all sorts of regulations colliding here. We're sort of stepping our bounds here to put up the structure, and now it's going to be. It might not be 6 months. It could be. Again, it's the opposite side of the year. So the 6 months could be down to if the birds are out there, you can't put it in, or if it's the storm is coming, you can't go take it down. So I think it's going to be a real learning experience. But they're going to have to be on their toes, and I guess the conditions have to be on their toes too. Make sure that it works.
Okay, David, Ken.
Well, I guess I have a question for Ron. Ron, are you suggesting it might be better to just make it permanent? I'm asking
Ken?
Ron what he thinks.
Jen, can you answer that question? I see your hand now.
Ron,
No, he asked Ron.
You
He
asking
wants Ron's
Ron?
opinion, not mine.
Ron Driscoll, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
I guess you're just the overall. What you were saying a minute ago. I'm not quite sure, kind of what you're getting at there. Are you suggesting maybe it should be permanent? Because it is
No, I don't
complex.
think so.
Well, when we can do it, when we can't. Are you suggesting we should simplify it and keep it?
I suggest we let it go. I mean, if we need the fence, if they have to have a fence up there, then it's going to have to be some sort of restrictions on it. And again, we take a time of year, we get birds. It's going to be a difficult time.
There doesn't have to be a
You're right.
fence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beyond that,
If there's no fence, we don't have to worry about it.
if there is no fence.
Jen, did you want to respond to?
No, I mean, I can't remember if Dave or Ron said they have to have a fence. They don't have to have a fence. They're asking for the fence. The fence is being installed like kind of and Jack can explain why the fence is being installed in summer season versus the winter season when we typically see snow fencing installed to help accrete sand during the winter months. And again, the fact sheet I sent you from CZM does have concerns with this sturdy kind of drip fencing. So, the staff's concerns remain the same. You have a structure in a velocity zone. It's being installed kind of opposite, and it is a very, very sturdy structure, not the typical sand fencing we see. But that's all, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I
Thank
guess.
So are you good, David?
No, not quite. I mean, I know I asked Jack last week, and it still eluded me a bit of what the purpose of this fence is. And then, given all this complexity, it's bringing up to my mind, is it worth it, Jack? Is it really necessary?
That's a fair question. I mean, I've seen drift fences do exactly what I'm hoping this drift fence will do, which is accrete sand and allow for growth of the dune, such that the additional mass could help, provide some measure of storm damage prevention to the house that's sitting behind this dune. So I can tell you I've also seen cases where drift fences have not been effective. And it doesn't seem to me that it really matters whether it's a spindly wire-mounted drift fence or if it's a more rigid structure. I don't pretend to understand why CZM is expressing concerns about a rigid structure, because I've seen those types of fences be very effective in Falmouth and elsewhere. So I'm not sure how best to
Well,
answer the question.
I guess I would say it's pretty complex, but if you think it's still necessary, I'm gonna say I'm okay with it. I think I'm done.
Bill Duffy, do you have anything?
Yeah, it was just for the longest time, I actually didn't even look where it was supposed to be, and I was just getting my bearings on it. I'm sort of more agreeing on the staff side of this. I'm not sure the point of the fence other than sort of privacy. I mean, it could help the dune, it could not help the dune. It's, reading some of the literature and stuff like that on it. I'm not sure that type of fence is probably necessary. So that's sort of where I'm leaning on this one.
Okay, anything else? Okay. Jim McGrath?
I mean, I'm surprised this is the first time we're coming across something like this with the drift fence. I mean, do we have any experience with this kind of fence in the past? Success, failures?
We've had snow fencing installed during winter months. Off the top of my head, I can't think of one, Jim. I can certainly research it and get back to you. But sitting here right now tonight, I can't think of one off the top of my head.
So this is the first time something like this has come in front of the commission?
Probably not. We have seen kind of sturdy fences like this before, but honestly, I can't remember if we've actually permitted them or not, Jim.
Okay.
I know we have permitted that more traditional kind of wider
Snow fence.
slat
Yeah.
with the wire snow fence that you
Sure.
usually see on the beaches. We permitted that all the time. That's quickly installed, quickly removed.
Yep.
These types of structures are a little more permanent. And again, you can review the fact sheet I sent you.
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah, so.
Just to add what Jen says, I've been on the commission for, I think, 20 years or something, and I've never seen an application with this specific type of fence, whatever that's worth. I mean, I could have missed a meeting, but, I haven't seen it. Where did we leave off? Jim, did I get to you, Jim McGrath?
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
good.
Okay, you all set?
I am.
Okay, Steve?
I find this sense interesting. I understand the guidelines and staff's position, but I'd like to see if it helps.
You'd like to see what? I'm sorry.
I'd like to see if it helps.
Yeah,
The particular, every property we look at has different structures and elements. This one's particularly interesting. I think it would be helpful.
okay. Have I covered everybody on the commission at this point? My screen moved around and all of a sudden I lost track of where I was in terms of calling on people. I would make one comment. And that is, if we decide that this is okay to permit, I would like to see the fact that if there's bad weather in the summertime, like a hurricane coming, that there be in the order of conditions that this fence is removed. Otherwise, it's a barrier. In my mind, becomes a projectile. So I would want to see it removed in a hurricane. Other than that, I have no other comments.
Mr. Chairman, one thing. Jack, if the board were to entertain this, we would have to put a condition on somehow that, while they're doing this work, if they had to remove it for, let's say, a hurricane, major storm event, that it would have to be monitored by Mass Audubon. Are you agreeable to that?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
If they decide to do it, that's going to have to be a condition, and it's
Sure.
going to have to get accepted by Natural Heritage.
So that would be for the same time frame, April 1 to August 1.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah,
That's
just
fine.
within the time of year restriction time frame.
Yep. That's
And
perfectly
Jack, for
fine.
sure, if we approve this and it fails, there will be coal in your stocking next year.
Next year.
Future
Okay.
stocking.
All right.
Are
Thank you,
there any
Jack.
other comments from our commissioners? And is there anybody in the chat room, Jen?
Trying to get there, Mr. Chairman. My mouse isn't working for a second. Hang on. Doesn't look like there's anything in the chat, Mr. Chairman.
Is everybody said their piece and happy? Okay, I'll take a motion to close the
Close the
hearing.
hearing and take it under advisement, Driscoll.
Bowman second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing and take it under advisement. So I'll start with you, Steve Patton,
Pat and I.
Jim McGrath,
Breath, aye.
David Kent,
Can't I?
Bill Duffy.
Duffy, no.
All right, Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
Bird, aye. The vote was it 4-1? Or is that in favor?
No.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Very good.
Good night, Jack. You have a nice holiday.
Yeah, thank you all. Merry
Good night,
Christmas,
Jack.
everyone.
You.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, moving on. Next we have, let's see, that was Willis Lane, correct? Yes. So Robert and Kara Martin, trustees, 58 Westwood Road LLC, 58 Westwood Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to conduct invasive species removal and install restoration plantings. This continued hearing has not been open, so everybody's on the quorum.
Hang on, Mr. Chairman. I accidentally promoted somebody up. I grabbed them instead. So need to make Mr. Anastasia back into attendees. Maria, I'm coming to get you. And Brian Wall, where'd you go? So, Mr. Chairman, I have Jake Fricky from Cape and Islands Engineering. I have Maria Hickey from Maria Hickey Landscape Associates, and I'm promoting Brian Wall from Tor Wall Associates. This is their project.
And I should remind you all that I have coal for your stockings, so put that in mind. And as a matter of fact, Brian will just get a thing in his stocking anyway by default. All right, who's presenting in this group? Jason, are you the presenter?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to start. Just give me 1 second. I just got promoted. Just trying to get
Sorry
my.
about that, Brian.
No, it's okay, Jen. No problem. I understand.
So,
So, Mr. Chairman, if it would please the commission and the members, I would like to start the presentation. And
you certainly may. You certainly may. And I
Okay.
have the coal ready for you. All right, go ahead.
So good evening, members of the commission, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Brian Wall. I'm an attorney. I have an office in Sandwich, and I represent the applicants tonight, Robert and Kara Martin, who are owners of the property at 58 Westwood Road in North Falmouth. Also representing me tonight, as you can see on the panel, are Jake Fricky of Cape and Islands Engineering and Maria Hickey of Maria Hickey and Associates Custom Gardens and Landscapes. This notice of intent is proposing restoration plantings, mitigation plantings, and invasive species removal and management. The reason why the NOI is being proposed is to address unpermitted clearing and installation of a lawn and unpermitted construction of a shed. So just by way of background, the property is a 30,000 square foot lot, and on the east is 58 Westwood Road in North Falmouth. On the west, the lot fronts on Buzzards Bay. To the north of the lot is a 40-foot wide right-of-way that provides access for the residents in the neighborhood to get to the beach. And actually, I just realized, Mr. Chairman, I dove in. Could I ask Jake to put up the plan so that we can look at this while I'm talking?
That would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
If you can perform that magic, Jake, you get a gold star and no coal.
All right.
Excellent.
Right, so there you can see the plan. And Mr. Chairman and members of the commission, I'm not going to get into the detail of the colors. Maria is going to do that. But just by way of background, I wanted to orientate the commission to the property. So again, on the east side is Westwood Road. On the west side is Buzzards Bay. On the north, you can see that 40-foot wide access way to the beach that is utilized by the residents in the neighborhood. And the Martins own to the center. They have what's called the fee, or the ownership of the land, into the center of that shoreway, which is relevant to part of our presentation. The property is developed with a single family dwelling. And that was authorized by an order of conditions that was issued in 1994. Now, that order had a limit of work that was just a few feet off the rear of the existing dwelling. And Mr. Fricke is showing you that now.
It's right here.
Conditions number 1 and 5 of that order of conditions required that the area between the limit of work and the beach was to remain in a natural state. And due to subsequent changes in the regulations, that area now also happens to be buffer zone, and most of it is zone A. Between approximately 2001 and 2020, the Martins incrementally cleared part of that area to create a lawn because they have a family and they have grandchildren that want to play in that area. This came to the attention of staff in or about, I think it was 2023, and the staff informed the Martins that this was a violation and needed to be addressed. So what the Martins did was they hired a team of experts that includes me, Jake, and Maria. And we brainstormed, and what we thought was the very simplest way and probably the most cost-effective way to address this violation would be simply to propose planting native plants in the lawn area, kind of 4 or 5 feet on center, like you see all the time. But we decided that that would not really provide a quality solution. And the reason being is that the perimeter of the property on the north and the south, and in that area between the coastal beach and what is now the lawn, is vegetated, and there's a very extensive amount of invasive species in that particular area. And if we planted native plants in the lawn and did not address the invasives would simply invade the new native plants. And as Jen said on a prior hearing, I think the one before me, they would probably take over and essentially make the restoration, frankly, almost meaningless. So we thought about it and we decided that actually the invasive species that are there, instead of being a negative, actually kind of provided the Martins with a positive. And we thought out of the box and we said, instead of just planting the lawn, we could propose extensive amount of removal of the invasive species, replacing them with native species, restore what I'm going to say as most of the lawn area with natives, and also the shoreway is heavily invaded by invasives, and we could propose to also remove them from that area and install native species. And in fact, the plan that you see before you has a proposal of a total of 11,871 square feet of proposed removal of native, I'm sorry, I keep saying the wrong thing, removal of invasives and replacement with native species. Now, to state the obvious, the Martins would like to retain some of the lawn behind their house. And fortunately, there's been a change in the commission's regulations since 1994. And now the commission requires that there be a 10-foot area around the house that does not count for native or restoration plantings. So obviously the Martins are going to gain about 10 feet of lawn. They would like the commission to consider allowing them to retain a little bit more, again, because of the grandchildren that I mentioned previously. Now, what we think is that, I'll strike that. So to propose this, we actually met with staff numerous occasions. We had at least 2 Zoom conferences. I think they each went about an hour long. And we had an hour-long site visit out, frankly, in the pouring rain. And we went around the yard from a clockwise position and essentially talked about all the different areas of the lawn. And I would suggest, and I might stand to be corrected, but I would suggest that the staff is in favor of the invasive species removal. And I think the staff sees that as a favorable development from an environmental perspective. However, there are some respectful disagreements, and they frankly fall into 2 categories. The first is there's a disagreement about allowing the Martins to keep a little bit of the lawn. And I think that staff is compelled by the regulations to take that position, and we understand that. But what we're hoping the commission will see is that instead of simply doing that planting of the lawn and kind of walking away from it, We're actually proposing something that's way above and beyond the call of duty. And we're hoping the commission will work with us to allow this to go forward because of the environmental benefits and allow a small amount of the lawn to remain. The other respectful disagreement happens to do with the methodology, and you're going to hear more about that from Maria in 1 second. Maria is proposing to remove a lot of the invasives, not all of it, but a lot of it by mechanical means because she believes it's better for the outcome of the project to take it down to the substrate and then plant natives back in there, and they have a better chance of surviving and thriving if we do that. Whereas the staff is of the opinion that most of the work should be done by hand and much of the vegetation should be able to stay in place where the invasives are simply selectively removed. And we understand staff's position, but again, we have a respectful disagreement about that. And we'd ask the commission to hear us out on these arguments. And having said that, this is the perfect place for me to segue to Maria, because I'm obviously not an expert in invasive removal, and Maria is. So having said that, I'm available for questions, and I certainly probably will have some additional comments. But at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Maria to pick up from this point.
Maria, you're on.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep.
We can.
Okay, good evening, staff, the board, Maria Hickey and Associates Landscapes. Courtney, you're doing a great job running the meeting tonight. I think this might be the fastest meeting that I've ever sat through. I love it. And you have 2 opportunities to give me call. Saturday is the anniversary of my 29th birthday. So there's option number 1, and then obviously we have Christmas. And as a person born on top of Christmas, it's a little tough because you usually get 1 present that counts as 2. And then I had my son on my birthday as well. So I'm even further removed down the list. Anyhow, I am a certified invasive plant manager in Massachusetts and Rhode Island and have done a significant amount of invasive species habitat restoration projects. I was thinking about it the other day. In the last 15 years, I've planted over 1 million native shrubs, trees, perennials, and ground covers. And I love to share my enthusiasm and my knowledge about this field of how we can take a resource area and dramatically improve the qualitative value of it. As Brian said, we had some meetings on site with staff. We've been working really hard on this project to try to not only do what's required, but go above and beyond and make a significant improvement in restoring and offering a higher value of habitat. So first and foremost, I wanted to just talk about the difference between a mechanical and a manual extraction of invasive species. And I know Jake has some pictures that I sent him that I had included in the landscape narrative that I wanted to show you. And before I even, I don't know if Jake can bring those up.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Hang on.
Okay. Okay. So hopefully you can all see this. This is showing us lifting up using an excavator invasive bittersweet vines and porcelainberry vines. And their roots can go 30 feet, 3 feet down on the ground. A mechanical eradication is 98% effective in getting out all the roots, simply just from, the torque and the power of a machine. The machine sits in one spot on the site. It can reach 22 feet in all directions, and the cab rotates 360 degrees. So effectively, we're sitting on the lawn, their current lawn, to do this work. So it's almost like raking leaves. The teeth of the bucket rake the roots, and they pull and they pull and they pull, and then when you lift up, this is what you see. I thought it was really, really important for you guys to see these photos. We've done hundreds of these, and I've never been ceased to amaze at the mass and the mat of roots under the surface that you can't see visibly with your eye. And yes, absolutely, using a machine is a significant temporary disruption to the resource area, but it's highly effective in getting out all of the roots that are meshed with your native shrubs, your native trees. Versus a manual extraction, there's no way a human being can pull 30 feet of root without breaking it into fragments. And those fragments can regenerate, and you're just contaminating your resource area over and over again, which leads us to, well, then how do we eradicate these invasives? Then it falls into chemical treatment. And having had cancer twice, and I'm only 61 years old, and I've been spraying for years, and I take all the protocols, and I have no history in my family of cancer, so it makes me concerned of what's the impact, to our environment, to our humans, to our animals, to the vegetation that they eat, when under a manual extraction, you're going to be continuously putting toxic chemicals into a resource area over many years. I've had another project in Falmouth that we were denied the use of a mechanical removal, and that project will haunt me for the rest of my life. We have never, ever been able to control the resurgence of the invasive vines and vegetation. And I walked away from that project about 5 years ago because health risks, it's just in my conscience. I don't feel good about dumping toxic chemicals again and again and again on root systems that are built to survive and outlast our native species. So I, again, wanted to stress upon with the mechanical, and are you able to see my mouse when I move it on the plan or not?
Jake's sharing the plan, so no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah,
so
yeah, okay.
basically, 95 to 98% of the shoreway, probably even closer to 99%, is non-native invasive species and vines. And staff agreed, yes, we definitely have to use a mechanical eradication to get these out. It's impossible to do it manually. So what the strategy is to start at the street side of the shoreway, remove all our invasives as we go down, and as we remove them and their associated roots, we load them to be trucked off site. We continued all the way down until we get to the lawn. And then we will go, across the lawn, headed south, stop and park the machine. And again, we can reach 22 feet in, which takes us, to this area that's loaded with honeysuckle, bittersweet, porcelainberry, vines that are extremely difficult to remove and eradicate manually. Because when it's only a manual extraction, you still have a contaminated site, which means you have to continue to treat with chemicals to try to prevent this resurgence of these vines. And that was one of the reasons why we felt like, yes, it's a one-time minimal disruption. Well, not minimal. It's a temporary disruption to have a machine there to remove all the invasives and their associated root systems. In other words, we clean the floor. But then we're going to replenish the sand, replenish the soil, and replant the entire site. So now we're starting out with a clean slate. And we've eradicated the non-native invasive vines and species so they will not dominate and overtake our natives. We're trying to restore and replant a flowering and berrying habitat for our nesting native songbirds, our wildlife, even the deer are wandering up and down this corridor. At the end of the day, we want to minimize our disruption to this area to a basically one-time event. Under a manual extraction, we're going to continuously be in here, like pruning and manually pulling vines that continue to grow back and putting toxic chemicals into, our resource area, which definitely impacts humans, animals, the birds, the bees, everything. And I just, like I say, it's a professional opinion that I'm offering, having done many of these projects and planted over a million native shrubs, trees, perennials, ground covers using this method. I wanted to point out that in the shoreway, there are a number of Russian olive trees. If they are not removed, a Russian olive can grow 40 feet tall and 40 feet wide. So your butters across the street are going to lose their view of the ocean, which is another reason why it makes this incredibly important. We are not expanding the vegetated area of the shoreway. We are containing within the 20 feet that the Martins own and restoring that 20 feet with native shrubs. Okay, so just to back it up a little bit, when we get down to the beach area and the coastal dune area, and there was a great discussion about whether or not there was a dune there that was removed, was it not? At the end of the day, not that it's irrelevant, but it's the same plants that we're going to plant, whether it's a dune or not. And when I go through my plants we did a project, we had a half a mile of beach that we had to plant. And I did a test, it was in Rhode Island, and I planted a combination of bearberry and American beach grass to see which would do better to hold the sand and to keep this beach from eroding. Now, keep in mind, we also have native shrubs, as we do in this case. So the bearberry is being planted as a supplemental ground cover. It's not the only plant that's in there. But what it does, it creates a mat of roots that do not allow the sand to wash away. Jen, is there any way you can disable the comments that keep popping up?
No.
Okay, no?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, because when they keep coming up, they're blocking the site plan and
I can't disable the chat, Marie. I'm sorry.
okay, that's okay. I'll just keep
It's all right.
talking. But again, what we're trying to do is provide the highest form of a functioning wildlife habitat with native species that we can in this area. And bearberry has thorns in it. Right now, the Martins have a path that goes down to the beach. The shoreway also has a path that go down to the beach. If this pink thatched area that's thatched in green was just beach grass, people can walk through beach grass. They do it all over Cape Cod, especially in Falmouth on our beaches. We don't want that to happen. We don't want the dune to be trampled. That's why we're adding bearberry. People are not going to walk on something that has thorns. So I just wanted to point that out. Also, in our updated narrative that was submitted on December 8th, I included a couple of things. There's on the south bordering lot line, there are 2 dead cedar trees, like completely dead. So we're asking for permission in the B zone. We're asking for permission to remove those and replant them with native shrubs. There's also a leaning pine tree that's literally at greater than a 45-degree angle to the house. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when it's coming through the roof. And while we're there, it makes more sense to remove it, replant it with native shrubs. Because again, it's close proximity to the house. There's not a tree that we could put in there that has a narrow canopy that would prevent the same problem from happening again. Also keep in mind, this is a windy site. So you have a lot of gusty winds coming, and that's what created the problem to begin with, is that you have a lot of winds. You also have a lot of non-native invasive vines that have snaked up in the trees that are pulling on the trees and causing their demise. So again, just to reinforce how important it is to eradicate the non-native invasive species. So we're starting with a clean slate and then replanting the entire site. So the benefit to the wildlife, to humans, to conservation, it's a win-win for everybody. I know that there has been great concern by some of the abutters about the shoreway. And the shoreway, and there's been lawsuits within this development involving other shoreways. This particular shoreway is 98% invaded with non-native invasive species. And those invasive species will continue to cross over and infect the resource area and make it very, very difficult for the native shrubs and restoration plants to not only survive, but to thrive. Additionally, it's going to block the views of all the abutters across the street because you have Russian olives in there that are going to dominate your view field and completely obstruct. And their width is going to grow far greater than what the martins own in the shoreway, which will open another can of worms of now the shoreway will have to apply for permitting for their maintenance path to prune trees. And that opens a whole nother discussion that is outside of our purview. One thing I wanted to bring up was the establishment of a vista corridor. So it's been over 25 years since this project received its certificate of compliance. And I find quite often that homeowners don't understand the meaning of a vista view pruning permit. And in the town of Falmouth, I've worked with staff on vista pruning. And currently, we're not allowed to prune or alter evergreens. And since the certificate of compliance was granted over 25 years ago, there are a lot of evergreen seedlings that have, taken hold. Cedars, there's Leland cypress, which are not native. And these evergreens are going to continue to grow up and block the view of our homeowner and people, abutters on either side. And so we look at, okay, how can we support and help our client maintain their view, which they're paying a lot of money in taxes on, and work within the rules and regulations. And because there are all these invasive vines in Rosa rugosa that are enmeshed in the roots of these evergreens in the view corridor, our recommendation was we're going to need to take them out anyhow, because if I don't remove these evergreens in the view corridor and I just treat with herbicides, the herbicides are going to impact the roots of the Leland cypress and the cedars. So you can end up with really, really sick trees. I'd rather just be right up front, declare this as our view field. I know conservation has said that they don't allow declaring a vista corridor in perpetuity. So again, if it has to be conditioned that, every 3 years we review this, apply for another vista viewing permit, we're fine with that. What I'm just trying to do is create the best scenario for everyone with the most positive, significant, qualitative improvement and value of this resource area. In my planting plan, I've included a diverse variety of native shrubs and trees to give us diversity in vertically and horizontally, but most importantly, to provide flowering shrubs and berrying shrubs to provide food and shelter for our native wildlife and birds. I grew up, I'll admit it, binoculars around my neck. And nothing makes me happier to hear the birds singing and to see when I'm working on these projects, the habitat that we've created. And right now, there's almost a complete void of anything that blooms and flowers in this entire resource area, other than Rosa rugosa, which is down in this pink thatched area. Rosa rugosa originates from Japan and China and Korea. It's not a native shrub. It spreads with suckers underground. It's already spread into the lawn area, and it's got a more larger root system than many of our native shrubs. And quite honestly, when I'm doing an invasive species eradication, I want to take everything out that's not native. I know that staff would love that we keep the Rosa rugosa, but then we're setting a precedent. Okay, well, if we keep Rosa rugosa, then why shouldn't we keep honeysuckle? Or why shouldn't, you know what I mean? It gets a little murky. I understand the value of the Rosa rugosa. It provides flowers, it attracts the bees, it sets rose hips, which provides food. So that's why we have listed Rosa virginiana, which has been highly successful on these projects in creating the same habitat. However, you don't have the invasive non-native status that you have with Rosa rugosa. I'm trying to think, I just wanted to quickly reference if there was anything else I wanted to share with you. Okay, so one other thing I wanted to add was staff had questions on, in our plant list, we listed a variety of plants. And not all of them are shown on the planting plan. That's because I handpick every single plant. I go to the nursery and I might spend 3 days there picking plants, loading them into my box trucks, bringing them back to Cape Cod. I want to make sure we have A+ quality on our shrubs and our trees. And sometimes there may not be those shrubs or trees in the nursery yet. So I have to go to the next best available tree or shrub. There's been times that the bayberry looks amazing. So right now, the nursery that I use, I know has 2,500 bayberry in stock from last year. And sometimes I'll buy things at the end of the year and bring them back to my own property so that I can caretake them and nurture them and have them in the best possible shape that I can. Jake, I was hoping you could bring up a picture of the bearberry for me, just so I can share a little bit with the board. You may not all be plant geeks like me, so not that I'm assuming anything. Maybe you are. So I wanted to share with you one of the reasons why we love this plant. It's in my supplement. Well, let me talk about Hypericum first. So this is Hypericum densiflorum. We go off the list of the Barnstable County Extension of native plants. That's what all the conservation commissions on Cape Cod use. It's listed as native there. It's listed on Mass Horts. If you go to like Cornell, North Carolina, all of your states, everyone has it listed in North America on the East Coast as native. I know that staff was a little concerned whether or not it actually is native. I can tell you that they were extremely respectful and listening to my concerns that our native plant list hasn't been updated in over 20 years. So it's very limited what we have to offer. And they have given me the opportunity to test out Hypericum in Falmouth on a few projects, and it thrived. It outperformed blueberry, low bush blueberry, winterberry, so many of our plants that can struggle in the windy conditions. It absolutely thrives. Okay, so I guess you don't have bearberry, but I can tell you that bearberry is an evergreen plant, and it spreads and it flowers and it berries, and is a tremendous food source for birds and wildlife, especially when you're in such a harsh condition like this. I was out there just this last week, and there's still evidence of a lot of wildlife on this site. And I feel like we could really provide a nice benefit by offering the bearberry to plant as a ground cover throughout the area that borders the beach, which is shown in the pink thatched area that we'll be planting Rosa virginiata in. And the hypericum, I have that shown in yellow on the plan. And I also have it shown in the shoreway on the plan. In the plan bordering the lawn, it's only 2 rows. In the shoreway, it's 2 to 3 rows. And primarily the reason that I am planting it in these 2 areas is because it profusely flowers. It attracts a lot of butterflies and birds and hummingbirds and dragonflies. And what is more beautiful than walking to the beach and seeing all the butterflies? I can't think of, and birds singing and happy. It blooms from June right through October, and it's just aesthetically pleasing, and it has a high habitat value. And it also will not grow 15 feet tall in the shoreway, which is a concern, I'm sure, of all the abutters, that they don't want to lose their views or, lose any of the area that they want to walk down to access the beach. Okay, I think I've said everything I need to say. And I would be so happy to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you so much. And I appreciate your listening and respect for the difference of our opinions that we have.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may very briefly, Jake is here primarily to answer questions unless he has something he wants to add, but we wanted to make sure that he was available to the commission if you had any questions regarding square footage or distances, etc. And before you turn it over, I did see the comments coming up in the chat, and I just wanted to say 2 things about the shoreway. In my opinion, I have looked into it. I do believe that the Martins own to the middle, and you don't really need to worry about that because the association itself has submitted a letter saying that they support this project within the shoreway. So I think that that's kind of a non-issue as far as rights in the shoreway. We have the ability to do what we're proposing to do. And having said that, we're very happy to hear questions and comments from the commission.
Okay, Jake, do you have anything that you want to add?
I don't have anything to add at this time.
Okay, Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Staff has a lot of comments. Unfortunately, 95% of the comments and concerns we have not been addressed. So with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up their plan, and I'm going to go around the plan and point out where the commission has some concerns.
Okay.
Is that okay, Court?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so the commission can see this, correct?
Yeah, all set, Jen.
Yep, okay, perfect. So to start, where Brian said that this is a violation. This was where the limit of work was, as Jake had showed you. I just don't want the commission to lose sight of the fact that this is now the current edge of lawn, and that over the years, Mr. Martin has cleared approximately 2,700 square feet of buffer. This ranges from 30 feet to 40 feet to 90 feet of buffer to coastal dune. And it's created a lawn for his family. So please don't lose sight of that. We can start with over here. This area right here is about 90, this is almost 100% invaded with invasive species. This is because Mr. Martin has cleared native species in this, and the invasives have taken over. Let's go back a bit. So this shed was unpermitted. They're proposing to mitigate for the shed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake or Brian, in this area and this area, correct?
Correct.
Correct. This area was naturally vegetated until Mr. Martin removed the vegetation. This area was supposed to be part of the restoration area. So they're removing vegetation, or was supposed to be part of the restoration area, I think. I think that's what Fallon has down. Was
Yes, it
proposed
was-
as restoration in the 1029 plan. So this was proposed as restoration. It switched to mitigation. This area for mitigation was naturally vegetated until the property owner had removed that native vegetation. We do not do vista corridors in perpetuity, but Maria already touched on that. As far as, let's go with methodology. We do have concerns with the methodology proposed. In this area, right here, again, 100% invaded because of the actions of the property owner. Have no problem going in there with mechanical means to remove that vegetation. There's really nothing left to save in there. It gets a little trickier when you come down into this area, when you come into these areas where they're not that invaded. Maria, we did have a question that we've asked multiple times and has never been answered. What are these little hash marks, these little turquoise hash marks?
That shows the area of manual extraction.
Manual extraction.
Yeah. So Jen, the machine's just going to sit on the yellow area where the hypericum is.
Yeah.
To reach
Manual
in.
extraction. So you're proposing to go in here
Yes.
and remove this by hand?
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Didn't we, when we were in the field, discuss how this area shouldn't be touched because there really isn't that many invasives in there? There's a few. So why
there's a
do
lot
we
of
have,
There's Rosa rugosa in there.
and we have already said, we have seen multiple projects over the years where Rosa rugosa is removed in certain dune areas, and then beach grass just takes over. You just saw one at 77 Barneck. They removed the Rosa rugosa, they planted beach grass, it took over. There were no shrubs left to be planted. It was just a sea of beach grass. There is no reason to remove the Rosa rugosa. Yes, it's not native, but it's listed as potentially invasive, but it can be pretty stable. It's happy. This dune is stable. There is no reason to go into this area and remove that. Maria, again, questions that haven't been answered. What are we doing with all of these trees in this view corridor, or all these trees in here? What are we doing with those? Are they remaining?
Okay. So to back up, it's not just beach grass in this pink area. We're planting Rosa virginiana, bearberry, and then some beach grass. The
Well, you
ratio
have a label here that says AB, and that's it. And if we go over to your thing, it's beach grass. So in this area, it does not say we're planting bearberry. It did not say we're planting Rosa
So if you look on the
virginiana.
other side of the path, okay, see where it says RV, Rosa
Yeah.
virginiana. That symbol is supposed to go all the way across.
Okay, well, it doesn't.
Okay, so we can have Jake update that, but the Rosa virginiana goes all the way across.
Okay. Again, we discussed in the field and you agreed with us that you weren't going to go up in here. You said there was no reason for you to be in this area, and now all of a
With a
sudden there
machine,
is.
correct. No, with a machine. But I disagreed respectfully about the Rosa virginiana, the Rosa rugosa, because the Rosa rugosa has already spread into the lawn.
Nothing is spread into that lawn, Maria. I can show pictures right now of that lawn there's no
When you
Rosa
kneel
rugosa.
down, there is Rosa rugosa suckers all the way up into the grass area.
What about these 4-inch, 2-inch, 6-inch trees? What are we doing with
Okay,
those?
so in our view corridor, where there are Japanese honeysuckle, bittersweet porcelainberry, which there's quite a bit in here. We're
There
going to
is
take
in
out
this green area.
in sections of it. Only where we are infested are we going to remove an evergreen, because I can't put chemicals to kill the roots of the invasives without killing the roots of the evergreens, which is
Maria?
why we're replanting trees.
With all due respect, there are several companies that come in and use herbicides. Oops, did not mean to do that. Use herbicides, and their projects, their projects are fine. They don't end up killing native shrubs while they're doing their invasive species work. Okay,
But it's a
moving
disruption
on.
to the habitat
Yeah.
when you have somebody in there. And on the south side, it's heavily infested. Jake, if you wanted to go back to my narrative, there were pictures that showed how bad the vines were in there.
So I want to bring the board's attention to this area right here.
Yep.
15 feet. This measures 15 feet of bearberry. Currently, how do I get this to move, Jake? If I want to.
What do you mean?
Hang on. I'm going to stop sharing for one moment. And I'm going to continue to share one moment.
What do you mean by move?
It's something I'm looking on my screen. This is what that path looks like right now. This is maybe 4 feet wide. Now we're removing all of this and all of this to put in bearberry.
And Rosa virginiana. And beach grass. And then we're actually not removing it all.
But
just the pockets of
there's
infestation.
natives in there, Maria. That's a majority of native species. That's not a sea of invasives. There's no reason to go in there and remove everything just to go back and plant natives. I mean, yes, it is more labor intensive to go in there and go in and peck out, but there's no reason to wholesale mechanically remove every piece of vegetation on this site, which is, what you had originally proposed. So the staff does have concerns with the way this project is being presented. I'm going to keep going around, sharing, back to my sharing. This area has some invasives in here, but they are can be managed without going in with a backhoe and ripping everything out. There's no reason to it. Yes, we have seen projects in the past. It may be a little bit more labor intensive, but it can be done, and it has been done by half a dozen other companies in Falmouth and on the Cape that can remove invasives that are intermingled with natives. Again, it's labor intensive, but Mr. Martin is proposing this in hopes that the board will let him keep part of the lawn that he removed without a permit for his grandchildren. I mean, I have no problem up here with mechanical removal, but I do have very strong concerns with this area, this area, this area, and over here. And again, I think if we allowed the 10 feet, I drew it on my plan. I can't scale it off here for you today, but I think
If you want to know where it is, it runs between the two O's and Wood Steps.
Yeah,
down,
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, it's
down
kind of
through
like
the
right.
R in Garden.
Yeah. So if you take this area of white in here, Jake's right. I've scaled it off. I'm not going to be able to draw it because it just won't come out right. But it kind of bisects this area. So the staff is, we don't want to see plants planted right up against the deck again. We have said we would allow the 10 feet that you currently allow. But quite frankly, we do have severe concerns with the methodology of how this is being done. In certain areas, we can support it. We can't support the mechanical removal, but I cannot support mechanical removal throughout this entire site. I don't believe that that dune area should be touched. It's stable, it's fine. There's no reason to go in there and start picking at it. We don't have a complete idea of what Maria is removing and what she's replacing it with. The plan is not very clear. How are you going to protect that area of sumac that we talked about in the field that's north of the sand path, Maria?
So you and
Are we
I
gonna
had
leave-
talked about, so you and I talked about when we got to that section, that you would be on site and you would make a determination of whether or not we should mechanically remove it and plant new sumac in that area. It just depends on how invaded. Jake, could you
Manically
bring up-
remove the sumac.
Jake, can you bring up in my narrative the pictures? There's one that shows all the vines, and this is from the neighbor's property to the south, okay? Keep scrolling up. Okay, so this is on Bob's, between Bob and the neighbor, okay, on the south side. And if you scroll up some more, there's a picture, keep going, with all the vines hanging out of the trees right there. So this is what we have on the south side. It's so heavily infested with vines that I'm concerned. If you scroll down and you look, if you don't mechanically remove all of that, you're going to be continuing to disturb this area for at least the 3 years of the permit by manually extracting the vines that will continue to grow back. And that's disruption to your resource area. We would prefer to, again, I know
Rip
it's
everything out.
and then replant the whole thing and never have to touch it again. I do agree with you, Jen, the area, and I've said it again, and somehow I guess I'm not saying it in the right way. The area that borders the beach has minimal invasive.
It has minimal.
Yeah. And that's why I said manual extraction of anything that's in there. But it's as you move, towards the house, it's heavily infested. And even on his sand path that's lined with the rocks, there's some areas in there that are heavily infested. Again, I'm not.
There isn't. There isn't, Maria. We were down there. There's no areas down by that sand path that are heavily invested.
If you're headed towards the house on the right side, there's a big pocket of, and on the left too, Russian olive and bittersweet and honeysuckle.
And you can remove that. You cannot remove 15 feet of that dune area and plant bearberry when there's already
I'm putting
natives
shrubs
there.
back in. Jake, if you can go back to the plan, please.
Yeah.
That's not what your plan says.
Okay, so if you start down at the edge of the beach, from north to south, so obviously the green is bayberry, the pink is Rosa virginiana, interplanted with bearberry.
That's
And
not what it says. It says bearberry.
Well, the symbol up top, see that says RV in the north, okay? That symbol should be carried all the way through. I'm not sure why it wasn't, but that's how I had put it on the planting plan. I want all shrubs in there. Okay? And then your next layer, Jake, can you enlarge it on your end? I just can't see. I want everyone to be able to clearly see this.
And Maria, at the bottom right hand of or bottom left, there's probably a little pencil with a line coming out of it. If you click on that thing, it'll open up a palette of tools, and the top tool is a mouse. And if you click on that, we should be able to see where you want to be pointing.
Okay. I won't even go to that link. I just want everyone to know that from the edge of the beach where you see bayberry, all the way to the lawn, where the lawn previously was, those are all shrubs 4 feet on center. All shrubs. It's hard to depict this on a plan, and I think this is where the confusion was with.
There's no confusion.
With, all right, it's not. Wait, can you see the pencil moving? Yes or no?
No, but if you start clicking, you might be able to draw. Yeah, you have to
Okay.
draw something with pencil.
Okay. So what I'm trying to show is this whole pink area that has the green hatches. That's all Rosa virginiana. In between the Rosa virginiana, we're planting bearberry to offer more food and shelter. Then we go into bayberry. There's beach plum in here.
That's not what the plan says.
Okay. And I can't enlarge it on this end. I don't know why.
It's okay, Maria.
Okay.
Moving forward.
But I just want everyone to understand that this is a densely planted site of shrubs. You can't walk through here when we're done. That's the whole point. We don't want it disturbed. And if we don't mechanically, I'm not talking about the area that you and Jen, that you and I agree should not be taken a machine to, which is where you currently have
We
your
talked about
residence.
it on the south side of the property as well, in that corner where the green meets, maybe not along the sides, but we also discussed it. There's no reason to rip them out. There's bittersweet intertwined with native shrubs. Remove the bittersweet. The native shrubs can stay. There's no reason to rip out the natives just because it's going to be a little bit more labor intensive to get rid of the bittersweet. And I'd like to remind the board that this is a violation. And the board is in the driver's seat. We don't have to accept this plan. We can require Mr. Martin to put back that buffer with or without invasive species work. If Mr. Martin does not want to compromise and work with this commission and work with the staff. You don't have room to mitigate for that shed, so I'm not quite sure why we're showing mitigation in areas that were previously vegetated and that vegetation was removed by your client. So we just continue to have a number of concerns. The only concerns that were addressed was we won't ask for the view corridor in perpetuity, although I don't believe that was written anywhere. And we asked for mitigation for the shed, but it simply can't be, the mitigation simply can't fit when you bring the property back to what it should be. I think the board or the staff, telling Mr. Martin that, our current regulations don't have plants planted straight up to the house was reasonable. We would be giving him 10 feet of lawn around the back of the house. And I think the board should stick to that. As far as this invasive species management, the board can condition it however you'd like. But again, your staff, who's been doing this for a number of years and has worked with various restoration experts that have used herbicide methods for successful projects, although it does take a while longer. We do have serious concerns and still have serious concerns after the multiple meetings we've had with the project team. Courtney, I think Alyssa has some stuff she wants to say too, but that's all I have for now.
Okay. You can stop sharing, and Alyssa, could you give us your 2 cents?
Yes, I do have many things to say, though I will refrain from repeating what Jen has already said, other than issuing my full support for everything she said. Working on site, we distinctly discussed not using any mechanical means past the flagpole on the southern property end. There are still a lot of natives over there. This board has seen, and we've talked many times about protecting our dune systems and how a lot of projects recently have not been successful, and keeping that Rosa rugosa out there will be instrumental in keeping this dune system intact. It's 95% native. It's very healthy. Significant work does not need to take place, and there's no reason minor cut and wipe chemical treatment would not be effective, though albeit require a longer time frame. I'm still not sure how a view corridor is even applicable on this property. Staff has several concerns with the variety of plantings chosen and their particular locations on the property, given the wind and salt that will impact them. There's absolutely no room for mitigation. This was discussed 3 years ago when this started. The trees are far too close to the property line. They should be pulled back a bit, particularly with the controversy over the shoreway plantings. the commission should not entertain any bargaining in this situation. This is a violation. You have regulations. Giving a little to take a little here should never be a part of your conversation, nor should decisions be made based on the lives of property owners. Property owners change all the time. So your regulations should be upheld and either required to be replanted up to that original limit of work or at the 10-foot offset. This has been a difficult one. Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna go to comments by the commissioners, and I'll start with Ron Bowman.
Quite the presentation, I must say. The staff seems to have a lot of issues with what's going on. I honestly did not get out to the site. I'd like to go out there soon. I'm sure this is going to get continued, and there's going to have to be some changes to the plan. Yeah, I got some concerns, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, Bill Duffy.
So I saw the comments in the chat about the shoreway, and I've also actually someone's actually asked me to raise some concerns. Brian, I think you said that you have a letter from the association that supports this project, so I think that would need to be submitted, as record for us to actually take a look at it. But with quite a contentious area for the shoreway. So there's that. I agree with Ron. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked out. I also have not got to the site. And it seems like, in my opinion, we're trying to do a lot to preserve a lawn that shouldn't even exist. And until that gets sort of talked about a little bit more, yeah. So those are my concerns with this.
Okay. I just might point out to the commission that when we're hearing these things, we're dealing with a conservation commission. We're dealing with the regulations and the town bylaw. And so legal questions about access on that beachway on the border and what goes on in there are outside our purview, and we shouldn't waste our time considering it. It may be a problem, but it's not our problem that's resolved. Okay.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, we have received several correspondence from abutters, from the association, from abutters attorneys. I do believe we've sent all that to you, but it was several months ago. So we will resend those tomorrow. It'll be the letter from the association. Brian, I don't believe you submitted a letter regarding the shoreway, did you?
I was actually, I know that it's not time for our rebuttal, but if I could just say to Mr. Duffy that the letter was submitted by the association itself, and I have a copy of it. We're aware of the letter, and it says that the association, the board of directors that controls the association, supports the project.
Thank you for that.
In the shoreway.
We will send those letters off to everyone tomorrow. Like I said, it has been a few months, but we do have a letter from the association as well as a butter attorney's letter regarding the shoreway. It is all very legally complicated, and it's something that we're not just going to get involved with.
Yeah, well, that's my point, is that we are considering the regulations and not the legal issues that go on here. Though they may be relevant, it's not relevant to our deliberation.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else, Bill?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Jim McGrath. You muted, Jim. Now, if you live nearby, you can shout real loud.
I would like to get out there and see the property. I haven't been out there either. It's a little concerning that there's no mitigation available for that shed. So I don't know what's been done in the past. Does the shed have to go away? But yeah, that seems to be a lot more questions that need to be answered than we're getting right now.
Okay. Thank you. Is that your comment? You done?
Yes, thank you.
Ron, Ron Driscoll, did I get to you or did you get?
Not yet. This has been going on for a long time, and I'm amazed that there's still such a large discrepancy between what our administration and the regulations say and what our attorney has presented, a strong advocate for his applicant, and also for Maria's great presentation. I couldn't possibly think of closing this tonight. It doesn't have to be continued, and there has to be an awful lot of more work done towards our regulations, especially with the strong opinions of our administrators and the strong questions they have about everything that goes on the site. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I think your observation is correct, Ron. Steve Patton.
Thank you. And thank everybody for their presentations. That were both comprehensive and instructive at the same time. But I honestly feel that I didn't realize that the changes had occurred through the efforts of the occupant that had changed it. It changed my opinion this evening. And I think I believe we should go back to the originally approved order of conditions. And I'd be most comfortable in that kind of position. I don't have any specific questions, but thank you.
Thank you, Steve. David Kent.
When I visited the site, I saw the large lawn in the back. When I came back and discussed the project with staff, I was very surprised to see how much there had been expansion back there. And I mean, both of our staff members have mentioned this is a violation, and I'm emphasizing that. If you go out there and look at the size of that backyard, the 10 feet is, well, that's giving more than we originally approved, but it's quite a violation there. So I would emphasize what the two staff members said. Remember, folks, this is a violation. The other thing, I can't keep track of all the different detail in the mitigation and the removals. It's an awful lot of detail and conflict there. I couldn't really follow it all. So I agree with other chamber members of the commission. We need a lot of work on that to come to agreement. So there's a lot more work to do. I would just emphasize this is a pretty big violation here, guys. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, David. Did I miss anybody before I weigh in? No. Okay. So a couple of observations on that dune that exists it has some invasives mixed in, but it's heavily vegetated. And my fear is that, yes, you can remove some invasives, but you're destabilizing that bank, and I just have a real problem going in there. I also want to comment about Rosa rugosa. And I've been on this commission long enough to remember when at one point, apparently Rosa rugosa wasn't considered an invasive. And I see Maria laughing. In fact, back in the 90s, we would have a Conservation Commission hearing. And, and at the end, it was almost like going to a Catholic confession. The commission would rule, okay, plant 10 Rosa rugosa plants and give $100 to the Conservation Commission. Go in peace.
And 3 Hail Marys.
And so the Rosa rugosas were planted everywhere. And if anybody is bothered to pick rose hips from Rosa rugosa, it makes great jam and jelly. And it also, quite honestly, makes great habitat. And even though it's been removed from our invasive list, I don't have personally, as a member of this commission in 20 years, I don't have a heart attack with it at all. Because it provides food and vegetation, and it's one of few plants that can stand up to really intense windy environments. And so, if it's there, maybe we don't put it in the future, but I can speak from experience that Rosa virginiana, which is supposed to be the poor man's Rosa rugosa, doesn't have the same degree of survivability in harsh environments. And Maria, all you got to do is come out to my house and look at it after I planted it to comply with conservation. And yet my Rosa rugosa, which I didn't plant, is very happy. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it is my philosophy here. And I just think, you guys need to have a restoration plan for this site. But I think you don't need to restore something that ain't broke. And so I'd leave that dune alone and address the immediate question of the violations near the house. Those are my only comments. Do we have any other things? Where are we here? Are we going to continue this?
Am I allowed to speak or?
I'm sorry.
Staff, I mean, the audience must have something. We saw a bunch of people.
Well, am I allowed, before we go to the audience, to just answer a couple of the concerns?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Okay, so Courtney, I agree with you on a lot of what you said. I also wanted to add, if you remember, over by Nobska Lighthouse, I won't say the house number. There's a big project that we did over there, and we put about 300 Rosa virginiana in, and they have thrived. I don't think there's a windier spot on Cape Cod. There's another one over by the mouth of Green Harbor, same thing. They've done really well. Rosa rugosa also does. So I'm not saying it's a bad plant. I'm just saying we were offering something native that has a lot of rose hips, that provides food and shelter. And I didn't want to deviate from having a mix of native and non-native. I wanted to just do all one way or not. And the other thing, I think that we all agree it was a significant violation, and we're going to replant that lawn. I don't want to diminish or make it feel like we're not acknowledging that in any way, shape, or form. I got involved in this case at the end of the summer. And so from day one, my plan has been to densely, revegetate the site where we need to have shrubs. And in that process, I wanted to look at the bigger picture. Gee, we have all these non-native invasive vines, and what is our best management practices, which I got all the licenses and certifications, went to school for, to minimize disruption to the resource area once you plant it. And that was primarily the reason why I was promoting a mechanical removal, because on the chemical treatments, you're going to continue human activity into the dune. You're walking through there, you're manually extracting, you're cutting, you're painting. If there's nesting native songbirds, there's piping plovers. It's
no piping plovers over here.
Yeah, I'm just using.
Yeah, Maria, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we've gone along a long time here. I'm not saying that Rosa virginiana isn't an appropriate plant.
Yeah.
But I would also point out to you that it spreads the same way as Rosa rugosa does. And I pull it out of my lawn where it isn't supposed to be. So,
Agreed.
What I'm more of the, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Got it.
Of philosophy. And I think, Rosa rugosa is not, it may be invasive because it came from China in 1786 or whenever, but on the other hand, to me, not every invasive is by definition bad, So, I just think we need to, I worry about the destabilizing effect of a wholesale removal of vegetation and replanting of that dune versus leaving it alone is really the underlying message there. Are there any other comments? Are there anything in the chat?
There are a couple of things in the chat, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Let me get over there. So from Ann Carligliano. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. My name is Ann, last name 147 Westwood Rose. Please note Judge Vey, Land Court Judge, has been involved in the shoreway use and access. Please review his rulings prior to allowing any changes to the shoreway. I have been involved with the lawsuits. Please note the Martins do not own the shoreway. Boardman family owns shoreway 1 through 6. The 7th shoreway is different. Please note all deeded nines neck-membered, not just members of the association. From a Michael Anastasia at 35 Westwood, I believe right across the road. He would like to raise some concerns. Mr. Anastasia, if you raise your hand, I can promote you to a panelist and then you can address your concerns. Back to 147 Westwood. All deeded members need to be notified, not just the associations. So a lot of the comments have to do with the use of the shoreway. But again, that is a legal thing. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Anastasia is a direct abutter. He has his hand raised and would like to address the board.
Okay.
May I promote?
Yes, you may promote him.
Okay, I'm promoting Mr. Anastasia, believe representing the property owner, Diana Anastasia at 35 Westwood.
Okay. I see you're up here, Mr. Anastasia. Show us your face and so on. Okay, before we start, I just want to remind you that, you know, the focus of your comments should be on the conservation related issues of the bylaw and so on. The questions of legal access, I will respectfully shut you down, so to speak. Okay, you're on.
Fair enough. I'm probably about to be shut down because that was the majority of my rebuttal. But my attorney disagrees with Mr. Wall's interpretation, and I just wanted to let the board or let everyone know that there are competing interpretations of the law. Also, I think it's a mischaracterization to say that the association has the right to sign off on the plan, where we're not a modern style HOA. There's no real power in that organization other than who gets to use the dock and the beach. So to say that we are capable of signing off, that each of the 115 property owners would need to sign off on that. So I understand this is legal side.
Yeah, I get that. And again, those are concerns that are of a legal nature. We have no interest in or control over how your bylaws or how they're enforced or not enforced. And so to get that wrapped into this hearing just simply confuses issues. And I appreciate your concerns. I'm not setting aside that and saying your concerns aren't real. That in your mind, they're very real. I can't make that judgment. Okay? So do you have anything else that's relevant to the plantings and the like? And Jen, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I want to, Mr. Anastasia, excuse me. I just want to say that we did receive correspondence from Mr. Anastasia's attorney, and that will be part of the correspondence we'll be sending to the board tomorrow regarding shoreway ownership access and all of that. We are going to send you his attorney's letter as well.
Okay.
We have, but we'll send it again. Again, it's been a while.
And it's, please understand, Mr. Anastasia, I'm not trying to shut you down. You may have a very legitimate issue. It's just that it's not within our jurisdiction. And so we're not competent to really pass on it one way or another, But if you have something you want to speak to as far as things like Rosa Rugosa, you can have at it.
Well, no, Mr. Chairman, we have issue with some of the selection of those trees that are going to be planted along the property line, while the argument is being made that what they're taking out is grows so high, so wide. Some of the trees that they're planting could possibly grow up to 70 feet high, 25 to 50 feet wide. All this will be on the shoreway and ultimately become the problem of the association. So those were my concerns. The rest of it seems to fall under the auspices of legalese.
And I think, sir, that's a fair enough concern. And I think that's something that, again, we can't control how tall a tree grows. However, you can speak to the people that are involved in this situation and negotiate something that's acceptable to everybody. Okay?
Courtney,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Courtney, there's not any trees being planted in the shoreway. If you look at the
Okay.
planting plan.
And there's
And I
no
did-
trees being planted right along the edge of the border.
Not
There
really.
are, Courtney.
Huh?
On
There are
In
multiple
line with the
trees
shed.
on the edge of the shoreway.
in line with the shed. And I met with your mom actually, and it had explained what we're doing is swapping out vegetation on the native shrubs. So the shrubs
Yeah.
are about 3 to 4 feet in height at maturity. So it won't impact her view field in that 20 feet.
You mischaracterized what you said to my mother, so we don't need to get into that.
Okay, so is your question answered, sir?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any other comments from the board? And I appreciate your comments, Michael. It's just, and I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to kind of stick to where our jurisdiction is. Okay?
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Do we have a continuance in this? Is that
There's
where-
another hand raised.
There
One
was
more
another
hand.
chat, just to clarify that there are trees along the edge of the shoreway. I'm looking at the plan. 2, 4, 6, 8 are planted along the northern edge of the shoreway.
And those trees are left to grow left to their own devices?
Yeah, and we have concerns with some of the species of the trees. We just don't think they're appropriate for that area, but we'll be speaking with the project team. There is another chat. Mr. Chairman, Eric Savage would like to speak on the association's view. Let me go get you, Mr. Savage. I'm promoting Eric Savage of the association to present the association's view.
Yes. Hi.
Hi, Eric.
Thank you.
You're
Eric
on.
Savage. I'm a director on the Neck Association board.
Mhm.
I have had an opportunity to meet with the occupant and Maria. What I wanted to clarify on what we are proposing, we have met. What we are okay with is the removal of the invasive species on the shoreway. So those Russian olives that are there, we are very comfortable with the removal of those and the replanting of the appropriate native species. So that's what our letter states, and that's what we're comfortable doing. Our only ask as an association is access to the beach cannot be compromised. And based on the current plan, as the Martins and Maria Hickey have put forward, we do not see that as an issue. As long as that access remains, we have no concerns. What plants get planted, we don't want trees, obviously. How it gets removed, mechanical or not, we don't care. We definitely are in support of removal of the invasive species. So that was my two. I just wanted to make sure that you understood the association's perspective.
Thank you, Mr. Savage.
Eric, can I ask you a question?
You sure can.
The passageway there, is that owned by the association, or is it that it's a right of way and the property lines actually extend to the middle?
117 homes have deeded rights to access the 1 through 6 shoreways. So we all in our deeds have access to the beach. So shoreway number 3, that is in question. Every member has access to use that, and that needs to remain open and not blocked for our access to the water.
Yeah, and so, in other words, what I'm trying to get at is the property line, is it an easement, or is that simply a passageway which is in common land?
We have an easement right to the water. What is still in question to the point is we have never taken to court shoreways 1 through 6 on ownership. The only lawsuit has happened is shoreway 7. So we don't get, all we care about is an association that is people have their easement rights honored and can access the water.
Yep.
So it's a pass and repass. That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, good luck. And as long as you guys are comfortable with what they're doing isn't impeding that, that's fine. And that's for you guys to address. It's outside of our jurisdiction.
And that's completely, which is why my comments are, we're comfortable with the removal of the invasive species and the replanting. And as Maria and the Martins have shared, that will not impede anyone's access to the water, which is we're comfortable with.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments? So where are we now? Are we ready for a continuance or a closure?
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, obviously we heard the feedback from the commission, so I would definitely like to be asking for a continuance. But if I may beg your indulgence just before I turn it over for that motion and a vote, I don't want to leave until the next time, all the time that's going to go by between now and the next hearing. I just want to make 2 very quick comments. One is there's no doubt this is a violation situation, but I do want to make the distinction that this is not an enforcement hearing. The Martins have voluntarily filed the notice of intent and are trying to work with staff and the commission to try to resolve that. Now, we do have some disagreements, but I think we can all agree that there's a good faith effort here to try to resolve this problem. And the second thing is I don't see our position as bargaining with the commission. What we see it as is the following. There could be strict compliance with your regulation, which, as I mentioned in my presentation, would involve planting the unpermitted cleared area, planting the lawn, and that's it. What we're trying to propose here thematically is proposing much more extensive management of the property so that at the end of the day, it's qualitatively better for the environment. That's what our theme is. And I'd like to kind of leave off with that and ask the commission for a continuance. And having said that, Jen, what do you suggest? I obviously we don't want a 2 or 3 week. We have to deal with some plan revisions and some additional information. So can we have a fair amount of time to review things and submit some new information?
And as you know, it's also Christmas and New Year's and Super Bowl.
Right.
And my birthday.
Other things.
Right. Absolutely, Courtney. Absolutely.
My birthday too.
Surprise.
Well, happy
Mine's-
birthday, Steve.
Happy birthday,
Mine's-
Steve.
Mine's coming up.
Christmas babies stick together.
I would suggest maybe towards the end of January.
That's what I'm thinking, Brian, but I'm looking at what we got going on, what we have continued to that.
Yeah.
Um,
And well, Jennifer's.
I'd say if we do continue it to the 21st, that I would only take one additional continuance, Courtney, because two of the continuances on the 21st haven't been opened and they're going to be fairly complicated. So we could continue this to the 21st and see how much headway we can make on a staff level working with Brian's project team. That means everything would have to be in on the 7th, Brian. I'm sorry, the 14th. That means we would need to meet with your.
Can I interrupt for 1 second, Jen?
Yeah.
I'm thinking that, as Courtney noted, next week it's Christmas Eve and then New Year's Eve. That really gives us about a week. Yeah. How about maybe the 28th or the first meeting in February?
We're not meeting on the 28th, and coincidentally, that is my birthday. But that is not the reason we're taking it off.
It should be.
But the 4th, I would think, would be better off for all of us, Brian. It was just when I was looking through the calendar, we were getting pinched.
I'm just thinking that with vacations and time off over the holidays, we're gonna lose those 2 weeks.
I think the 4th is fine, and I'm comfortable with that. We're
Okay.
gonna need some time with this one.
We'd ask to the 4th, Mr. Chairman.
That's
All right,
good.
we're
And
gonna
I,
continue this
to
here.
be honest with you, I think you guys need to have time with staff to work out the particulars of it. Because I honestly, much as I enjoyed debating Maria on the glories of Rosa rugosa versus Rosa virginiana, I think if we can avoid that and just get down to
All right,
brass
at the
tacks,
applicant's
that'll be
request,
good.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing until February 4th, 2026. Driscoll.
Bowman,
All right.
second.
Do we have a second?
Bowman, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this till the 4th of February 2026. All right, I'll start with Jim McGrath
Grath, aye.
and Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
David Kent,
Kent, aye.
and Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
and Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
and Steve Patton.
Patton, aye.
Have I missed anybody other than myself?
No.
Then Bird, aye. Okay, the motion is continued to the 4th. Enjoy your holidays. No cold for this crew on this one. Enjoy the holidays. Warm up to the Super Bowl, and we'll see you on the 4th.
Go
Thank you.
Patriots.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you for your time tonight.
Merry Christmas.
Night, Maria. Night,
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian.
Night,
Thank you.
Jake. Happy holidays.
You too.
Happy
Okay.
holidays.
Moving along, we have
Uh-oh.
a question.
Courtney, give me 1 second. I got to move some people out of the meeting, and I think I just booted one of our commissioners off. Oh, wait a minute. I got Steve. Hang on. Who did I boot back into this? Nope, I think I have all of you. Steve, Jim, Bill, Ron, Ronnie, Dave, Courtney. I have everybody. Okay, sorry. When
So we
everybody
can
starts to
continue.
move, everything jumps around, and
Yeah,
sometimes
I know, I did the same thing. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Moving along, we are getting to requests to amend an existing order of conditions, and this is a new one. It's not continued. So it's Kim Sierran, I believe I'm mangled that pronunciation, and I apologize. 24 Edgewater Drive East, East Falmouth, Mass. Request to amend the order of conditions for Mass DEP 254981 to regrade and a portion of the backyard and install retaining walls. Who is on?
Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Brad Bertolo from JC Engineering to present his project. Good evening, Brad. How are you?
Brad, you need to
Brad, you're
unmute
mute.
yourself.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Good evening. For the record, Brad Bertolo with JC Engineering on behalf of the applicant. This project, to remind the commission or notify the commission, included the original permit was to tear down and rebuild a single family dwelling. A sizable portion of this property is within the Zone A and was developed with the house, concrete pad, some retaining walls, a lot of crushed stone areas, and very minimal vegetation between the existing house and the bulkhead down by the salt marsh. So we've been in contact with staff this past year, earlier this year, regarding some wishes of the property owner, and we were authorized to move forward. Then we held back. We're told to stop, and then recently we are moving forward to request an amendment, as was the staff's requirement when we submitted a draft plan. It was a while ago, might have been February of 2025. So we were not aware that work took place until pretty much the day before we were going to go stake out the location of some proposed retaining walls that were part of the original this amended order of conditions. To give a brief history of what the property looked like before construction, I will share my screen if I may. So this is kind of facing the water, facing east, and I'm going to go through just a series of slides to show you what the site looked like. And there was the old house that was removed and reconstructed. Under the proposed plan, I'm just make note, as you can see on my cursor, hopefully you can see my cursor. This is the back of the house that was constructed. This house, once I show you the site plan, is at a quite obscure angle with the boundary lines. So we had rotated it, and it's now parallel with boundary lines. So, one corner of the new house started pretty much where the corner of the old house was and ran at an angle across the concrete pad and over this deck area. So just guys, so you have an understanding of what we're looking at. As part of the project, we had a number of these areas proposed to be revegetated. Currently, as you can see, is the number of grass, moss, existing pathway that was originally proposed to maintain as is. I'll go over that change once I brought the plan up. And again, a lot of grass areas. Either side of this path is a couple riprap areas that kind of support the bank. As you can see, is a decent drop in elevation. And as part of this amendment, since I have this picture up, we were not originally planning to take out these 3 shrubs. We had the erosion control just around it. Obviously, if you've been to the site, these 3 shrubs were removed. So if I could move on to the plan. This was the plan that was permitted, I guess earlier or late last year, the date, July of last year. You can see the original footprint of the old house, the new house, proposed walkway down the side, and you can see the proposed grading is relatively steep, close contours. Maybe it was an oversight on me that maybe I should have proposed some steps or retaining walls or something to terrace this walkway to make it a little easier to walk down. But we're here before you tonight to request that change. Again, this was the original limit of work. We had proposed 4 trees to be removed. Those trees are shown in this picture here. 1, 2, 3, 4, right in this area. So we were planting 4 trees in this location. Again, species type was all recommended by staff, and this area shown in green hatch was the mitigation. I believe it was 440 square feet to account for the 400 square feet required. And that was a mix of bayberry, beach plum, and Virginia rose. If you'd like me to add some Rosa rugosa, I could do that. So this was the permitted plan. The site's almost done. The property owner kind of got sold. The original applicant, still the applicant. The original builder of the house, still the builder, but they sold the property in between construction. So there's now a new property owner that completed this work that you may have seen on site. So there was a third party involved that we were unaware of. And to get to the proposed plan, I have highlighted in magenta the location of the walls. We went out, as opposed to staking out the location of the proposed walls, we went out, located the existing walls. Those are shown in magenta. We also noticed that the house plans, I think, originally had 1 door that was under the deck. This is a walkout basement. They built two exit points, so there was a granite stoop that was constructed to exit that door and drop down 3 rises, and there was one underneath the deck. The pathway that I have highlighted here, which was supposed to be rebuilt because the original stairway, the original pathways in this location, they constructed a proposed a stairwell in the location. It kind of lines up with the existing pier, and they also constructed one of the terraced and steps on the south side. In the red color, maroon color, these are the proposed areas that the applicant, besides requesting permission or a permit to maintain these walls, we're looking to amend to allow the construction of these new areas. There's still a path proposed in this location as originally permitted, but with the inclusion of these steps and terraces, it allows for a more comfortable walking surface down the side of the property. Grades in the front yard around elevation 25. The grades in the backyard are about 16 and a half or so. The original permitted plans was 17, so they were pretty, or 16, so they're pretty close to where grades were originally proposed, or originally permitted, I should say. Because this additional retaining wall, and I have some pictures from the application. Here it's a stone and mortar wall that was built pretty much it's pretty much in the location of the original work limit as part of the site or house construction. We obviously had permission to alter land on this side for the mitigation. There is what appears obviously more disturbed areas beyond the original footprint, but as part of this new application, we're proposing to provide more mitigation. Again, this is the existing walkway, a couple different views, and then an overall view across the back. Kind of see the granite stoop and granite steps. So we looked at the calculations. It does provide some additional square footage of impervious areas. The wall itself is about 15 inches wide, and with this hatched area is about 100 square feet proposed in this area. Obviously, the purpose of these walls was to level off the backyard. If I pull up the permitted plan, you can see that we're trying to maintain the slopes on the old plan, 13, 14, 15, 16, and you can tell it's got a decent slope on the property, and I think it was the property owner's wishes to kind of have a level area along the water side of his house. And, granted, the level area would, slow runoff because it has less pitch and allow for more infiltration. To account for that additional 100 square feet, and I'm assuming that you see my screen as I move back and forth. Is that okay? So account for that additional 100 square feet, and due to the area between the original mitigation line and the original work limit being altered, or there being sand moved there and then pulled back, we are proposing to mitigate that area and replant, and just expand it. So originally it was 440 square feet. We're going to add 500 square feet. Well, proposing 500 square feet, increases it to 940 square feet. We're maintaining the same planting frequency, 3 feet on center, same shrubs, taking into account your average spacing. That's about 105 shrubs planted using the same species, bayberry, beach plum, and Virginia rose. Again, we're trying to address a violation that was originally proposed, and obviously at the mercy of the commission. We know there's more square footage, 100 square feet, I guess, of retaining wall, if that's considered a structure under the bylaw. Then I believe that, you know, the additional 500 square feet of vegetation and swapping out from kind of grassy areas to vegetation would greatly benefit the salt marsh. And due to the time tonight, I'll cut my meeting short, or my presentation, to allow the commission to allow the commission to ask any questions or deliberate. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Before I turn this to Jen, I need to make a comment here. I have great concerns about this project, and I'm speaking to my fellow commissioners. That is that within the last year, we've got 3 projects in which we've gotten unpermitted walls, or walls weren't built according to the plans. And I think we have to be, as a commission, very careful about how we deliberate on these things, because we could set some very unfortunate precedents. I've been on this commission for more than 20 years, and I've seen a number of situations where we kind of felt too bad, sorry for the landowner, and we kind of forgot our duties, and it came back to bite us in the you-know-what. And I think we've got to be very careful about how we decide on these wall structures, because we're looking at 3 of them in the last year. 1 is in lawsuit right now. So that's my only comment. I'm sorry, Jen, it's your turn.
It's okay, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Brad. Some just housekeeping comments. During the original project, we mentioned there's some deficiency on the dock permitting documents that has not been addressed yet. Not quite sure if the old owner has passed that along to the new owner, but if you could pass the deficiencies along to the new owner, that would be great. There does seem to be a lack of local permits for the dock.
Yeah, we are in the process of preparing plans.
Perfect. Thank you. We just want to make sure it's permitted, and so 10 years from now, a new me or a new Alyssa doesn't go back into this project and say, why isn't this dock permitted? So we're just looking to clean up the permitting of the dock.
Yeah.
No, we'll work with you on the plantings and the appropriate percentage of each plantings. I do have concerns with the wall. I don't have concerns with the steps going down. You had a pretty steep grade when we originally looked at this. Probably should have incorporated some steps. So I have no issues with the steps. What is that, on the south side of the house? But I do have some concerns with that retaining wall and bringing in the fill and flattening out that area. So I don't think I can support the retaining wall with the steps between the house and the salt marsh, but definitely can support the walkways and the steps along the south side of that house. Part of that wall is sitting right on top of the coastal bank, and it literally almost is on top of the coastal bank, and in that A buffer to the coastal bank. And do you know how much fill was brought on? Because it looks like it was raised 3 feet to kind of flatten it out in that area. Do you know if they just moved some fill around when they were digging out the house?
There's definitely excess fill on the site from excavating the.
So they just put it in the back and flattened it out.
Yeah, and yeah, as you can see on a, well, I don't have the plan shown. The grades are proposed to be about 15.8. I'll just bring it up.
Yeah, and on the original plan, it
And
was
it was
between 12 and 13.
13 at the location of the wall.
Yeah, so it
So-
came up about almost 3 feet because I think right around that was contour 13. Yeah,
Yeah.
the 13-foot contour. Now we're at 15.8. So,
And
yeah,
it was,
that was,
yeah, that's at the high end, and then it tapered to nothing. So it was, you know, not 3 feet consistently. It was 3 feet down to nothing over that at, I guess, maybe 15 feet. I think overall, I believe it's about 20 feet from foundation wall to retaining wall, or face of retaining wall. So
yeah.
just to clarify that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the property owner started construction prior to getting approval. There may be some consequences to that, but we'll see what the board says. I don't mind shifting the walkway from where it was originally permitted to more central, if that makes more sense to the new owner to access the dock. We're fine with kind of shifting that kind of north in line with where you show it. But definitely I do have concerns with the wall and the movement of excess material and all over that site. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Alyssa,
Nothing to add at this time.
okay, so we're ready for commissioner comments. I'll start with Ron Driscoll.
Yeah, I have the same concerns. I mean, just can't let that wall go closer to the resource, especially unpermitted, and you're flattened out on coastal bank. As much as I like to say it's a beautiful wall and it really helps the property, we just can't permit it, and I don't think it should be allowed.
I just want to clarify, we didn't do work, we didn't flatten out the coastal bank with that. We're landward of the top
We
of
had
coastal bank.
fill right around the retaining wall.
We're landward of the top of coastal bank.
Thank you, Ron. Anything else?
Stand corrected, but I'm still against the wall. That's all. Thank you.
Ron Bowman. You're muted.
Thank you, Brad. Yeah, it looks like the cart got put in front of the horse on this here. And I got to kind of agree with staff and Ron Driscoll.
Okay. Jim?
I echo Ronnie's statement as well. I'm going to defer to staff on this. I don't think the wall's going to work.
Right. Steve Patton?
Agreeing with the other comments earlier. Thank you.
Bill Duffy?
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. Like your opening comment to this, all 3 enforcement hearings that we have after this are about the same issue of retaining walls being put in closer to the. So the good thing about it is, contrary to what some other people say, the commissioners will the commission will work with the homeowner to get whatever they can get permitted, but not that wall will probably have to come down. So that's my comment on this. So I'm pretty much agreeing with everybody else.
Okay. Thank you. David?
No, Brian, this property sold recently, is that correct? During this past year?
Yeah, within the past year, yeah.
So the work that we're discussing here in the wall, etc., that was done by the previous owner?
No, the new owner that's going to
the
be.
new owner did do this. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're
Okay.
the person that obtained the permits, the applicant, and which happens to be, you know, related to the property owner or significant other. They're still responsible for the permits and completing the construction.
Okay.
So
I just have one more question. The older plan you showed us did have mitigation. All that other previous mitigation is now gone. Is that correct? And I'm wondering when and why, if I'm right.
there was the mitigation hasn't started.
But I mean, the older plan had a mitigation area, didn't it? Down near the water?
That was an area to be planted.
Oh, well, it was never done?
They hadn't gotten that point yet.
Okay, all right, okay.
The
That's fine.
project's not completed yet, so they're
Yeah,
waiting.
that's fine.
Yeah, they're gonna probably plant that in the spring.
I got you. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, have I covered everybody? So I've already made my comments. I don't think I need to repeat myself, but I just simply, this is a concern I have, and we have to be very careful as a commission. And I know that sometimes making tough decisions like this is not very, easy, because sometimes the people that you're dealing with are your neighbors. But you know what? That's our job. And, you all have been parents at one time or another and have had to say no to your kids. So that's where we are. All right.
Thank you, Courtney.
What's that?
I just said thank you.
Yeah. So do we have any other comments from the commission? What's our pleasure?
If you may, I understand where the board is, or the commission's thoughts are. Again, I did reach out to staff, in February. They said file an amendment. I would hope that they would have expressed their concerns at that time. But we move forward with the process. If you would allow, I would like to discuss your comments with the applicant and maybe submit a revised plan.
No, it's not,
we can continue.
you have to understand, sir, that we're not trying to be unpleasant or nasty or whatever to you, but we have a regulation, and these regulations require that you need to get permission to do this stuff first.
And Courtney, he's gonna talk to his client. So Brad, how long do you need to do have a continuance for?
Well, obviously, it wouldn't take long if there was space available in January. That would be fine.
Okay, I have space. This one, I mean, if you like I said, I can completely support the walkway along the side and everything. That was pretty steep. The wall we're struggling with. Is the 14th too soon for you, or would you prefer the 21st?
14th, so I'd have to have a plan in by the 7th.
Correct.
That's fine. I can make that work.
Okay, we'll have you on the 14th, Brad.
Okay, so we're going to continue. So I need a motion to continue this.
I'm trying to make a motion.
Go ahead.
The request of the applicant, we please continue the hearing until January 14th, 26. Driscoll.
Thank you, sir. And we have a
Duffy,
second.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to continue this until when?
January 14th.
January 14th, 2026. So Jim McGrath.
McGrath, aye.
Ron Bowman.
Bowman, aye.
Ron Driscoll.
Driscoll, aye.
Bill Duffy.
Duffy, aye.
Steve Patton.
Patton, aye.
David Kent.
Kent, aye.
And Bird, aye. Anybody I missed? Okay, so this meeting is continued. All right, moving along. Thank you, Bird.
Thank you, Brad.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night. Happy holidays.
You too.
Okay, next, we have continued hearings under an enforcement order. The first one is, I'm sorry, there was a request for a certificate of compliance, which is Timothy Leadham, and that's been, have we voted to continue?
Yes, you voted to continue this
All right.
until January 14th.
Okay, I just want to make sure we've done that. Okay.
No problem.
Continued hearing as an enforcement order. Anthony Aveni Jr. and Elaine Aveni, 42 Knockett Drive, East Falmouth. Unpermitted reconstruction of the deck, enlargement of the patio, installation of retaining features, clearing within conservation jurisdiction. So
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this was Mr. Borselli's project from Falmouth Engineering. He is aware that we are recommending we close this hearing, issue an enforcement order for corrective action to be filed, to be filed by a notice of intent by January 30th. I've already talked to Mike about the timeframes from this, and he's fine with that time frame. So what you would do is you would issue an enforcement order requiring the filing of a notice of intent to take corrective actions. That will give the staff time to work with Mr. Borselli and the Avinis and see what needs to be removed, what may be able to stay and be permitted, and work through that process under a notice of intent.
And this is to all be filed by the 30th of January.
30th of January. Let me just check that date, make sure it's the 30th and that's not a Sunday, because that would probably be my luck. Friday, January 30th.
Okay, and so our enforcement order would instruct staff to do what you've just suggested, is that correct?
Basically outline what's needed for corrective action, and issue that to the property owner, again, to file that notice by January 30th, outlining the corrective actions to be taken, because they are going to need to be conditioned.
Okay, so do we have any discussion? Anybody interested in throwing a question in? If not, I'll look for a motion.
Duffy,
So
so
moved,
moved.
Mr. Chairman.
What's that?
So moved as spoken by Jennifer.
Okay, we have,
Second, Duffy.
okay, we have a motion and a second to issue an enforcement order as outlined. So I'm going to call for the roll call. Jim McGrath,
McGrath, aye.
Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
David Kent,
Anti.
Ron Bowman,
Moment, aye.
Steve Patton,
And I.
Bird, aye. Did I miss you, Jim?
Nope,
Nope.
Okay,
we're all good.
we have issued an enforcement order. Thank you very much. Let's move on. David and Marcy Barnes, 838 Squibnocket, unpermitted construction of retaining walls, steps, and a patio, replacement of decking, alteration of a coastal bank. And that, I believe, has been continued till 1/21/20.
Correct. So we can get a site plan. Excuse me.
Have we voted that continuance?
Yes.
Okay, moving along. Next, Susan and Maurice Ryan, 32 Squibnocket Road, East Falmouth. Unpermitted installation of retaining features and hardscape, potential regrading of the coastal bank, clearing within conservation jurisdiction. So, Jennifer.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, much like 42 Squibnocket, we are recommending, since Tom Bunker was here with his plan last week, we are recommending we close this. We issue an enforcement order requiring the filing of a notice of intent by January 30th to take corrective actions. I do believe the property owner is working with both Tom Bunker of BSS Design and Mark Manganello of LEC, who will be assisting them with the restoration process.
Great, so we need a motion to that effect.
Duffy, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Patton second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to issue an enforcement order as discussed. Are there any other comments or anything in the chat function? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Jim McGrath,
McGrath, aye.
David Kent,
Anti.
Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve Patton,
And I.
Ron Bowman.
Moment, aye.
Did I get you, David?
You did.
Okay, and Bird, aye. Okay, motion carried. We issued an enforcement order. Let's move on to voting orders of conditions. Karen Corchis, 20 Nichols Road, East Falmouth, Mass.
This is a fiber roll array project presented by Carly Site Services. I think the only thing we need to work with them on is protection of the salt marsh if they are going to come down that original access point. But I do believe, Alyssa, did we receive a revised plan from Bill with different construction access points? I know we spoke about working with Bill And the contractor, which I do believe, don't quote me, is going to be Muskowski, working with them in the field to find a more appropriate access path.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe the original project proposed one but utilized two paths. Our only concern is the one to the, I don't have the plan up, on the far side of the project. There is
East.
some, thank you, struggling salt marsh there. So as long as they mat it, it should rebound if
fine.
they need to walk over it. We did get revised plans for the hearing last week that did address our concerns with, the labeling and the buffer and the stamps and all that. So they're good to go.
Okay. Any other comments? I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to issue order of conditions as discussed. Driscoll.
Okay, do we have a second?
Bowman, second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Jim McGrath,
Wrath, aye.
David Kent,
Can't I?
Bill Duffy,
Duffy, aye.
Ron Driscoll,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve Patton,
And I,
Ron Bowman.
Bowman, aye.
Did I get you, David?
Yes, you did.
All right, and Bird eye. Motion carried. We haven't issued an order of conditions. Next, vote amended order of conditions. And that is Constant Ryan, 151 T-Ticket Path, Falmouth, Mass.
I just lost my colleague.
What's
I
that?
don't know where she went. Melissa just disappeared. This is the extension of the revetment with some soft solution. It originally was a much softer approach to stabilizing that area. Unfortunately, hang on, unfortunately, they didn't undertake the project right away, and there have been some serious alterations to the site, which is going to require, yes. I'm still struggling with this one, guys. I don't like rock revetments for a number of reasons. There's a lot of effects with these types of structures. I really am concerned with that little barrier island to the west, and possible adverse effects to the salt marsh behind that little barrier island. It is not a very wide barrier island. I'm concerned about the deflection of the waves from that to the west. If you were to permit it, permitting these types of structures usually requires beach nourishment component because you're starving the system of the natural replenishment of sand from these types of structures. In this case, we have a problem with the channel going from Great Pond to Perch Pond shoaling in and affecting the navigational access from Perch Pond into Great Pond. The residents of Perch Pond have attempted twice to get that dredged and have been, because of the concerns of Division of Marine Fisheries, have not been able to do that. So adding sand to this system to mitigate for that wall is not going to work because the sand's going to end up in Perch Pond. That said, there has to be some sort of monitoring component because I really am concerned with that marsh. And I'd say we come up with some sort of monitoring requirements about the width of the beach and, attempt to take corrective action at that time if we do see some adverse effects happening in that area. So those are my comments and my concerns with this project.
May I ask a question, Jen? In your mind, does this rise to the level of a denial?
No, but I'd like to see less rock. Um,
Yeah.
it's a hard one because I mean they had a plan, they didn't implement the plan, and the site conditions changed drastically.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one for us. It really is.
Okay. You had your hand up, Ron.
Yeah, I know that there's a rock wall already there, a revetment already there, and we're just extending it. Is there any way, and you're worried about the waves hitting that rock at the angle and then going over to the marsh? So is there any
Yeah.
way you can put those toe stones in so that they break up the waves to go, so it won't go in that direction?
It
Instead of just
might need a
three rocks
change
at
of
an angle.
plans. Yeah.
I mean,
So there
that
is,
could be done in the field, right?
yeah, there is a revetment there, and you have to understand if you look at that entire shoreline, it's revetted, and then there's one property that did the core fibrils, and that property is pretty stable, and revetted. And actually, when they tried to fill in that gap under this concept 20 years ago called gap theory, it was actually denied by the state. The state made them put in the core fiber rolls and everything. This, when it was originally proposed, I know that some of the former commissioners had some concerns because it was the revetment and then the core fiber rolls, and then we were trying to grade it so it would absorb that wave energy a little bit more than just deflecting it. But it is scarped out so much that even though they're putting in, they say less rock because it's not as deep. And I think that's what our confusion was in the field, is we didn't realize they were going to backfill this whole thing with rock. So now they're just placing it there. I mean, the board closed the hearing. We don't have a plan change. I am concerned with the deflection of that wave action towards Perch Pond, towards the mouth of Perch Pond, and towards where it tapers off. And then you have that very narrow barrier beach in front of that salt marsh. But then if we do start to see effects, how do we mitigate for them? How are they going to mitigate for the effects if we do start seeing them through monitoring reports that beach is eroding and eroding and eroding, and all of a sudden it'll break through to that marsh? I don't know. Let me check one thing. So anyway, those are my concerns. Like I said, any sort of revetment project like this should have a beach nourishment component, and in this one particular location in Falmouth, I couldn't support that because of the problems we have with the channel going into Perch Pond and the shoaling that happens there. Let me take one quick look. I'm almost there. So who owns this? So who owns this?
While you're finding that out, Jen, if we were to deny it, what are we telling them? What is
We
it?
have to do some, I mean, it's not so, I mean, this is an amendment. So you already approved something over there.
Yeah.
So you would have to allow something else. So you could deny this revetment. They're going to have to redesign it because their original design is just not going to fit the current site conditions. Or we ask them to just put less stone and more fiber rolls. I don't think this hearing should have been closed. There were too many questions. But here we are.
Can we condition it to change the thing that much? In other words, they came in and told us how they wanted all this hardscape. I'll get to you in a minute, Ron. Told us how they want to put all this hardscape in, and we listened to it and we closed it. So, now we're confronted. If we have second thoughts, how do we, the only way I can see that if our thoughts are second thoughts are serious enough, then we really have to deny it.
Yeah, but they got to do something, and it's going to require them another plan change. I mean, the beach, I don't know how much is eroded back. It's like a 25-foot wide beach
Yeah.
between the Great Pond and that marsh in the back. I mean, I think we're just going to have to end up putting some type of monitoring requirements on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Peachy Pan's a private road, so we would think that each of the abutting properties owned to the center line, that would bring that down to here.
Ron, you had your hand up while you're.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of erosion there on that bank, and something's got to be done to resolve this. The property owner has a right to protect their property. I'm not sold on the waves. You're inside the breakwater there, so how much wave action and sand's moving, that's a debate. So I think we should hear from the rest of the commissioners before we start going in the wrong direction.
Okay. Jen, are you done? Because I'd like to.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've said my piece.
Okay, I'm going to start around the table. David Kent.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what Ronnie said. I want to ask Jen a question. What about the orientation and things here in the site makes you quite confident that wave action will be shifted toward Perch Pond? I mean, it could be the other direction.
It could be.
I mean, is there something about the layout things we've seen which makes you believe that's going to happen, or where does your concern come from?
It's just a concern. I mean, that area behind there is vulnerable, and if the wave action were to be deflected, I'm not saying it's going to be, but if it were to be deflected in that area, what happens? We're just moving the energy down the system. That's what these walls do. All they do is move whatever energy is hitting them down the system. So although that property is protected, the unprotected properties are going to be adversely affected. It happens.
Toward Perch Pond, though, or I mean, it's going to be that direction.
That I don't know for sure, Dave. I don't know for sure.
So
but I can't say definitely, but I can't say it won't.
But one thing Ronnie just said is it's definitely a need to protect that property and protect the home. I mean, that's a definite.
So protecting the property and protecting the home.
Ronnie, you said that, right?
Two different things. Technically, the house is 78 feet away from that erosion.
It is a ways away. Also, the level of erosion I see there, I wonder if we don't use rock. I mean, those fiber rolls aren't going to survive there. That's severe erosion. That's severe wave action.
I think we're in a situation where we have the plan. We didn't ask for plan revisions, but I would like to see some monitoring. If the board's going to approve this, I would like to see some monitoring. And then if we start seeing an adverse effect to that area, we can take corrective action then. But if we're going to approve it, then I would say that I do want some annual monitoring of that area to make sure that
makes sense.
That energy is not being just shifted down.
That makes sense. I have one last question. This is a procedural question. So if we close a order of close like we did last week, we can't reopen. Our hands are kind of tied. Courtney, we can't really reopen it. Is that procedurally? Is that how this works?
No, I mean we would have to. It's close. So this is different. So this is an amendment. Okay. You don't have to accept the amendment, and they could come in with a different amendment, but I don't think there's going to be a tremendous amount of less rock, maybe a little bit less rock. It's the nature of the thing. So it's an amendment. You could say no.
This thing last week was not.
No, and their only recourse would be to file either another amendment or another notice of intent.
So what we closed last week, was that a notice of intent we closed?
You closed an amendment.
It was not a notice of intent. Well,
yeah, you closed an amendment to an order of conditions. So they're just trying to amend the plan.
All right.
I say let's
I've
add
got a
some
bit- I've got a bit
monitoring
to learn about that.
requirements to it, and we go from there.
Okay.
Okay.
It's getting late, but real quick, Jen, refresh us on the state regulations about armoring coastal banks versus soft solutions and when a project was built and so forth.
Well, it's complicated, Courtney. If a house was built pre-78 or pre-89 in your regs, yes, they can armor the house to protect the house. But what is protecting the house? If the house is 150 feet away, it doesn't need protection. If it's 80 feet away, it doesn't need protection. When is it protecting the house and not just stopping the erosion?
The property, I see trees almost falling into the water.
Yeah, I understand that, Ronnie, but that's not what the regulations say. The regulations protect the beach. These eroding banks provide a sediment source. So if an eroding coastal bank is providing a sediment source to a coastal beach, then the regulations say, no, you cannot armor it. It is providing a sediment source to the beach, or you have to mitigate for that sediment source. So that is why the state over the past 20 years has decided to permit these softer solutions is a way to, one, assist property owners to protecting their property while also trying to mimic the natural conditions, provide sediment source to these beaches without just revetting anything. Because if you start revetting this entire town, you're not going to have any beaches left because you're not going to have a sediment source.
I get that.
So it's a balance.
If that whole bank comes down, it's going to go in Perch Pond anyways. If it's going out there and all
Yeah.
the water's going that way.
I say we just add monitoring requirements, and if the wave energy starts to affect, we'll just address. We'll figure out how to address it. We're not going to address it at 10:30 tonight.
I get that. Okay.
So if anybody's, part of the reason why Woodneck Beach, for those of you who know that beach, why it's so rocky is because the sediment source is starved, because out where the old Cape Codder Hotel is, it's all armored. And that's where the sediment came from. So
that's out on Buzzards Bay. It's a totally different environment inside that.
Oh, I
inside
know,
that,
but I mean,
totally different
it's
environment.
the same thing. And what it is that when you starve the sediment sources downwind, then you're gonna, that's when you have these problems. It's for every action, there's a reaction, and that's where it is. This is not an easy question to solve, because you're dealing with property owners and you're dealing with, the rights of property owners versus the environment versus the beaches, and it's a struggle. And we're the ones that have to decide it, sadly. So
yeah.
we're gonna try
So
to
I say just approve the amendment with monitoring.
I agree.
What do you want, Alyssa?
I just wanted to make a clarifying point, if that's okay. I know we're going long. I think the newer commissioners are at a disadvantage because you weren't a part of the original permitting of this process. So the proximity to the home, the type and material of the proposed revetment was kind of already discussed. So again, the home is nowhere near this. The home is not. The point of the regulations is to protect the resource areas, and that's why it has that particular date of when homes are built, and the functionality of the bank and where that sediment source goes. I know we've seen a lot of core fiber roll projects that are getting redone, and that's because of this sediment source. So there are very nitty-gritty things we're trying to stay in line with, but I think the point is something was permitted, it didn't happen. If this gets denied, that original project cannot be implemented. The site's changed far too much. So you have to approve something. And we're at the point where, no, we don't know what's going to happen. And no, you can't necessarily permit something in fear of something happening. So I think what's being proposed is some kind of combination. Having a monitoring report might be the best way to go at the moment, and perhaps a clause in there that if something serious occurs, they come back to us, we sort of regroup, figure out where to go from there. So again, for the newer folks, you're kind of coming in the middle of this, so I understand why it's like really confusing.
Alyssa, you're
so
right
just-
on. I think we need to vote on order of conditions. I think with a monitoring requirement, is there anything else we need to do for better or worse, you know? I'm sure they'll be back in 2 or 3 years to amend it again because it won't work.
So can I go ahead
Other
and make that
commissioners
motion?
that could speak if they want as well.
What's that?
There's some other commissioners that haven't spoken that might want to speak as well. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, well, anybody else want to say anything? Steve?
Yes, I wanted to say that I supported it in the meeting, and I knew that when we did this, we had made a commitment to the owner that we were going to discuss this and finalize it in our meeting tonight, and that's what I intend to do. I agree with Jen that we need monitoring, but let's approve this and move forward, please. I'll make a motion if you would like, Mr. Chairman, although others may not have spoken.
Well,
I'm
I
good.
think, go ahead. We're at that point. We need a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed with a monitoring report. Anything
Yeah, I
else?
want to also add a pre-construction meeting in the conditions with the
Okay.
contractor.
That's not in your standard conditions now?
Yeah, we always do, but I'd like to say it.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
something we would put in, but I just want you guys to know I'm putting it in, okay? I'm putting in a pre-construction meeting.
We do
Yeah,
read
and-
your conditions
and
once in a
this-
while.
That's particularly critical in this one. So any other, do we have a second on the motion?
Motion second, Driscoll.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on order of conditions as discussed. So Jim
McGrath, aye.
and Steve,
Pat
Pat
and I,
and Bill Duffy
Duffy, aye.
and Ron Driscoll
Driscoll, aye.
and Ron Bowman,
Bowman, aye.
David Kent
Can't I?
and Bird, aye. I think we covered everybody. All right, let's move on. Voted enforcement order, Stephen Augusta, 33 Oyster Shell Lane, East Falmouth.
so moved.
Second. Yes.
So we sent you a draft because this isn't as straightforward. We're trying to point out other things that were wrong with the property, but like the grass paver, parking, driveway thing. But I think in the end, the board should vote the enforcement order that's drafted, which is going to require Falmouth Engineering to file a notice of intent on behalf of the applicant, on behalf of the property owner by February, I think it was the 18th. It's like sometime mid-February. And I spoke to Mike Borselli when I came up with all these dates. I did this in coordination with Mike, knowing it's his schedule. And I think we can address things like that parking area through that notice of intent process. I don't think it needs to be addressed here. I think it's better addressed through the notice of intent process, because then they can come back and propose an alternative solution, maybe. We'll see. But so I would recommend the board vote the enforcement order that's drafted. We said we would send you a draft prior just because of those outstanding issues that weren't maybe fully explored during the hearing process because we just came to a standstill. So I think requiring the notice by February 18th, we can work through some of those issues through the notice.
And the quorum is just Courtney, Ron, Steve, and Dave.
What's that?
The quorum is Courtney, Ron, Steve, and Dave.
Okay. So I need a motion.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Jen, so there's a lot in this enforcement order.
Mm-hmm.
The presumption is this would drive the generation of the new notice of intent. We would hope that they would do everything in this, address most everything in this, enforce in that.
Correct.
So this thing does say that back driveway, what's it called? The reinforced
Paver driveway
whatever that this
is to be removed.
It says it has to go away.
It does say that. We can't put in this enforcement order an alternative to that. But like I said, this will drive that notice of intent. And when that notice of intent is submitted to the board, at that time, if the applicant wants to wants to keep it with mitigation, wants to remove it and replace it with a different material, we can discuss that at that time.
Oh, for
And you
instance-
can make findings
Jen's
in that
leaving it
order of
open-ended.
conditions to address it.
Yeah, so for instance, they might come and say, we'd like to keep that driveway back there, but we're gonna suggest additional mitigation to compensate, and then we could discuss it. For example,
Correct.
that could happen. Okay,
That could happen.
I got you. Okay.
So we need a motion that encompasses what was sent around, I believe by email, the draft. So I need a motion to that
You
effect.
can issue an enforcement order as
Yeah.
sent to the.
You can't. Oh, you on this, Ron?
Am I on it? Yeah.
Ron is on it, yeah.
Yeah,
Second.
all right. We have a motion and a second on
Issue the
to
enforcement
issue, we're issuing an enforcement order, right?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, as discussed. And the quorum is,
Courtney, Ron Driscoll, Steve Patton, and David Kent.
David Kent, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Okay, Steve Patton.
Pat and I.
And let's see who else.
Driscoll, aye.
Driscoll, aye. Other than me, have I missed anybody?
Nope.
Okay, Bird, aye. All right, we have issued an enforcement order. And so we need one final motion at long last.
Nope, you need two final, you need a final motion, but you need to pick a date. Since we closed some hearings, we don't meet for a couple of weeks, therefore we need to hold a special meeting to vote orders of conditions so I can get them written in the regulatory statutory timeframe and issued.
That's
So
21
a
days,
couple of
good.
dates. So I have to have these things out the door by the 7th. I can have them drafted beforehand and just tweak what you vote. So some of the dates available.
about
I don't know if anybody feels like
Christmas
meeting.
morning before we open our stockings.
Yeah, Courtney, we got to get through this. We can do the 26th, which is the day after Christmas. Not sure what everybody's plans are. We could do the 29th, that Monday, the weekend after Christmas. Or we could do Tuesday, the 23rd. I don't know what everybody's schedules is.
I would opt for the 29th. That's kind of a,
Okay.
that would be my suggestion.
That'll work for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
In the morning,
Steve, Bill, is it
Okay.
Bill morning?
In
Were
the
you
morning, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what time in the morning, Bill?
I probably have to be out the door by 11. So if we do like a normal 10 o'clock in the morning type of thing, I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
how about we do 9? Would that work for you, Steve, Ron Driscoll?
What day of the week is
Bone?
this?
Monday.
Monday, the
Monday.
29th.
At 9 a.m.
Nine to squeeze, but yeah, I have
Yeah,
something that
9
goes
a.m.
7:30 to
is-
9, so I can do it.
You can do it.
Okay, Courtney, 1 second. Steve, why is it a squeeze to you? Do you need 9:30 or 8:30?
I have physical therapy at 7:30 to 9 on Mondays.
Or 9:30.
I
No,
got,
we can do
9:30 is fine.
9:30.
9:30.
I got-
9:30, Steve? Okay, Ronnie, does that work for you?
no, I have 9:30 appointment, PT for my finger. I can do
Okay.
9, 10.
How
Do I have
about,
to-
Do
do I have to
9.
be there?
I'll skip the bike.
Okay, 9.
okay, Steve.
You know, how long are we, how many do we have to vote?
Hang on. We have to vote for
4 orders? That
4
should-
orders.
That should
Won't
take,
take long.
won't take 15 minutes to most.
Let's do 9 o'clock. Seems to work for the majority, and we'll be good. 9 o'clock, we'll set a special meeting, vote orders of conditions, 9 a.m., Monday, the 29th of December by Zoom.
Oh, Zoom?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
You can
Second.
come to the office, Ronnie.
Driscoll,
Long
aye.
night,
Anti.
10:30,
Pat and I.
FBI.
Right.
Aye.
Bird eye.
Oh, humbug.
Merry
Yeah.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye,
Bye,
guys.
guys.
Merry
Everybody.
Christmas.